Good morning. It is 9:07 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? My name's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC, Water Filtration Systems, waterwater.com. Very excited. We have a major announcement to make on the show, and I don't think I've ever had an announcement made on this show that is as big as this one, so I feel very honored that we can make this announcement today. Joining me to bring that announcement to you, the people of Tennessee, is State Representative Monty Fritz. Monty, welcome to the show. How are you, man?
Good morning, Chris. Thanks for having me this morning. I appreciate it.
Hey, we are very excited to have you here.
Yes, sir.
You've been a state representative in Tennessee now for how long?
3 years.
And what do you think?
I've enjoyed it. Politics is something I never really wanted to get into. Don't really want to be in it now. But it's a necessary thing. It's I would draw a crazy analogy, if you wouldn't mind. In 2003, I just feel like the Lord laid on my heart to go and re-enlist. You know, we were going to send Tennesseans to Iraq with the 278th, and I'd been a Cav Scout when I was young, and so I was fat and out of shape. But I asked myself a question as I come down to that. I prayed about it, and Denise and I talked about it before I re-enlisted. I was 40 that year. If not me, who? And if not now, when? And I pray hit that same type, if not me, who, if not now, when question when I ran for state rep, because I just wasn't happy what was happening in Nashville with all the mess with COVID and infringements upon our liberty. And so I jumped into it much out of frustration. What I'm going to talk to you about this morning is after much prayer. Some frustration, but much prayer.
Feels like you're almost at the same kind of crossroad.
I am. Tennessee's in trouble.
So without further ado, I think we should lay down what the major announcement is.
Yes, sir. Be happy to. I'll humbly submit, but boldly proclaim I'm going to run to be governor of the state of Tennessee.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, me too. I start an application process now with 7 million people to ask them to hire me and lay out my resume and what I have done, not just in civilian work and military work but what I've done in the legislature. Not running against anybody. I think public service, even if I don't like what you're doing, if you're voting wrong, if you're some of these people that scored a 60 on the John Birch Society this year, we have another problem. But I'm running against what I think is an embedded establishment politic in Nashville that, quite honestly, brother, thinks that people like me shouldn't even apply for jobs like this. I'm not connected enough in Hollywood or D.C. or Nashville. And I've heard that, and I continue to hear it. I think that's not what our founders intended.
I'm with you. And it does seem like there is a political elite and an establishment in Tennessee.
Yes, sir.
That being said, that feels like an uphill battle.
It is. It's Mount Everest. I certainly cannot do this oven by myself, but I think we can. I think, not to sound too preachy, but I think God's got us at one of those intersections of time again. I think there's a great thirst for liberty in Tennessee, and I think there's a great distaste for a government that's growing out of control, a budget that is growing out of control, 59% in the last 6 years. That's not small government. That's not responsible. So I'm going to, 2 Kings 13 talks about striking the ground with your arrows. I will put my foot many times in each county in the state of Tennessee, and I will empty my quiver into the ground for liberty and less government in Tennessee. Because I think for folks like me that are natives in Tennessee, we desire for that. Some of us that grew up admiring that volunteer spirit, men like Sevier, John Sevier, men like Crockett, men like Houston, York. I think there's a strong desire. And people that have moved here looking for liberty, they found themselves, I hear it so often, a disillusionment with, I thought we were really conservative. And when we talk about the budget, when we talk about gun rights, what an egregious last 2 weeks. I mean,
Honestly.
Oh, my goodness. Yes, yeah. I spend a whole hour talking about that. But they've come here and they're like, this is not what I expected. I have a friend from New York. I'll leave his name out of it. But he moved in and he said, Monty, he said, it seems like that sometimes we Republicans in Tennessee are acting more like the Democrats in New York. Well, that's a shameful thing to hear. And I think we have lots of good men and women that come into political office to serve, and I think they get caught up in the seniority apparatus, it's all about money and preserving the status quo apparatus, the Stepford wife mentality of just do whatever comes from the hill. I think our founders designed this whole thing so that there would be a little tension, even if we're the same party. Washington warned us in his farewell address about political parties. And I think even within the same party, there needs to be a little tension. I think that sometimes you have good men and good women that may vote a little differently, and they're penalized for it, or they're voted off the island, if you will. That's not a trend toward liberty. And, the money, oh my goodness, the money that comes in, the people that slither up and down the halls in the Cordell Hall building, some work for the governor, many work for the governor now, and they argue against your rights while they're on salary, while they're a state employee, a state of Tennessee employee, and they're arguing against your rights. They're trying to influence legislation as it moves, and constitutionally, the governor gets one shot at that bill. If the House and the Senate pass it, it goes to his desk, passes it, it goes to his desk, and he gets to sign it into law, let it lay for 10 days, not counting Sundays, or veto it. And that's not what's happening right now. We have the executive department is running 60 and 70 bills that they write and they hand to a legislator to carry them. That's not what our founders intended. Our Constitution says that from time to time the governor's supposed to make suggestions, talk about things we need to do. I'm supportive of that. But it's not looked upon favorably if you go against something on that the governor's asking for. And I'll stop with this and go back to any questions you have, because I'll ramble. I'm passionate about this. I feel like God's called me to do this, just as he called me to be a cavalry scout in Iraq, just as he called me in much frustration to run for this office, just as I think I was Balaam's donkey that he called to take prayer to 95 counties in Tennessee and ask for his blessing as we repented. I feel called. Don't know what the outcome of that will be, but I'll tell you, I think I'll win, because I think that there is a thirst for liberty and a distaste for big government. And I think Tennesseans from Memphis to Mountain City that I've met are sick of paying taxes to have corporate welfare come out of this hill.
Yep.
We need to stop that.
Let's start with Memphis. There's been a lot of talk about the governor may or may not send the National Guard into Memphis. He's open to it. I always fall back on it seems like Bill Lee does things a day late and a dollar short, and he kind of waits to see which way is the wind blowing before he does it. How do you feel about sending the National Guard into Memphis?
So let me first say this. These people I'm going to be critical of, I love them. But I think that we are called in public service, just as we're their friends, to be straightforward, to be honest. So I want to say, and I love you to all the people we're going to talk about first that may hear this, and I may never mention their name, but they're offended by what I'm about to say.
Okay.
We need to be able to communicate straightforward. I think Article 3, Section 5 of the Tennessee Constitution is pretty clear, that in cases of rebellion and invasion, that the governor can send in the militia. And I think that the General Assembly shall declare by law. That's the way it's written. We did that a couple of years ago, if you remember, to help Texas repel an invasion. We didn't end up sending anybody under that. We sent folks under Title 10, which was much different, because Title 10 means they were federalized. And if you'll recall, a couple of years ago when Mr. Biden was in office, they were tearing down the fences that the state of Texas was putting up to repel that invasion. And so as a result of that, as a result of the federal government's failure and an open border, we have criminal violent gangs today. I think our first order of business, Memphis, Nashville, wherever it happens to be. I think there's a need for an Article 3, Section 5 authorization to help address the violence that the criminal cartels are bringing in. Much of the violence, much of what I think we're having in Memphis is resultant from drug cartels. And I think that is a rebellion. Now, in some cases, those are U.S. citizens, and it's still a rebellious thing. So I think we first have to go to that Constitution. And I think, I was a National Guardsman. I understand the role of the citizen soldier, domestically and foreign. So I think there's a need to do something. I will even go further. I think that we've hired lots of state troopers. And I think that there's a role for our state trooper force in helping. The sheriff is the high authority in these counties, and I think you got to work with them. But, our founders were big on liberty, right? Liberty's the word, freedom, liberty. The first role of government, according to the Declaration of Independence. We talk about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and it says that securing that liberty is the first order of business. That's what our Declaration says. And then in the preamble to the Constitution, we talk about securing the blessings of liberty on ourselves or to ourselves and posterity. Our founders believed in that. Well, it's hard to say that poor person in Memphis who's afraid to walk down the street, who's afraid to drive down to their church meeting or to the restaurant, is living in liberty. And first order of business, if it is liberty and to secure those rights, that I think we got to do something.
I agree. We're in studio with Monty Fritz, state representative. He's just announced that he is running for governor in the great state of Tennessee. You mentioned liberty, and it sparked my brain. Just a couple days ago, we had the Surgeon General of Florida say that there's nothing that a free man. What they're doing with the vaccine mandates with these kids, it's reminiscent of slavery. The government telling you what you can and can't put in your body. On the same topic of liberty, what does health in Tennessee look like under a Monty Fritz leadership?
So I'll tell you some of the things it doesn't look like first. It doesn't look like a health department that spends lots of your money to advocate for you to take the jab, which we did. It doesn't look like that. I applaud the Surgeon General for Florida. That's a bold man.
Yep.
And he spoke words that history's going to look back on favorably. And we're going to have commissioners of health and surgeon generals and all look back on that and say, I wish I had aligned with him because he's speaking a foundational truth of liberty. And liberty is, by definition, I think, unfortunately, we've reached a point where many people don't understand this. Liberty is simply the God-given ability to decide between two options and the opportunity to make the right choice. But you bear the consequences either way. And so many of the things we're doing today with the budget and with these infringements, and it's like death by 1,000 paper cuts infringements. We're stripping liberty away from Tennesseans. And that health department in Tennessee certainly doesn't issue contraception at cost to you, to any Tennessean. I think if you look at the website right now, you'll see that the Department's health in Tennessee issue contraception to anybody who will come in, even minors, and you're paying for it. And even emergency contraceptive pills, which do two things. Not a doctor, but I can read, that they prevent ovulation or prevent implantation. And I think when you pull on that string, that means we're killing babies, in my worldview, that when conception occurs, there's life.
Yep.
And we pay for that. I tried to edit that out of the budget. I did 5 budget amendments to take money out of the budget this year. And one of them was for $10,000, just to send a shot across the bow that there are lots of Tennesseans that on a moral foundation and on a constitutional foundation, that's not a role of government. Providing contraception for everybody is not a role of government. We need to get out of that.
Yeah. And,
that's in some circles, that's not popular. I don't care. It's right. And I will tell you, I think I have lots of friends that are Democrats that are, other side of that issue and many others. But what I've found is this. They've had it up to their nose holes of politicians who tell them what they think they want to hear, or they speak in some high euphemism that doesn't define anything, and they have no commitment to hold them accountable to. And so I got away from your question there. I think I applaud the Surgeon General in Florida. I think those were bold words. And when you compare them to what a sitting sitting U.S. senator said, Tim Kaine, that he compared our founders' words to that of Iran.
Yep.
Somebody should be impeaching him right now if that's an option. I'm not sure that's an option.
He literally said that our rights don't come from the Creator yesterday.
He did. And is he an attorney? Is that his first problem?
It was.
Or is it just that he's a communist? I don't know.
It was unbelievable. These were the comments from Tim Kaine yesterday, just so, in case you haven't heard them.
Notion that rights don't come from laws and don't come from the government, but come from the Creator. That's what the Iranian government believes. It's a theocratic regime that bases its rule on Shia law and targets Sunnis, Baha'is, Jews, Christians, and other religious minorities. And they do it because they believe that they understand what natural rights are from their Creator.
That's embarrassing. And boy, I'm going to ruffle some feathers here, Chris, but it's the truth. We just won a big victory in this Hughes v. Lee thing, liberty victory in Tennessee.
Amen.
And unfortunately, the legislator didn't provide that. For 154 years, we've allowed Jim Crow-type language to exist on the books that someone could pick and choose and say, okay, Chris, because you're armed, you're a criminal and you have to prove that you're not. That's wrong.
Yep.
That is against the premise of
guilty until proven innocent.
That's exactly right, brother. And so now we're going to appeal. We've issued a notice of appeal. So we're going to use your money to argue against your rights. I got to tell you, the people that are doing this think more like Tim Kaine than they do Monty Fritz. The people that would say, well, we just don't, we philosoph. I've heard this from the governor's people. We just philosophically disagree with you. Those people don't get to be philosophical. They get to be constitutional, period.
Amen.
And it's my responsibility as a watchman on the wall, somebody elected in House District 32 and the next governor of the state of Tennessee, I have got to hold them accountable for that, and I will.
I think you bring a lot to the table, Monty, and I think that you could even lure in some independents and some Democrats with some of your stances on health, geoengineering, and the like, and I think that you've been a bold and brave voice. We've had John Rose on, and he was welcome to take questions from our audience,
yes,
because I think at the end of the day, it's really important that the voters get to speak to you.
Absolutely.
We've issued the same invitation to Marsha Blackburn. We have not yet heard back, but you're willing to take questions from this audience.
Absolutely. I'd love to. As a matter of fact, I'll be setting up a visit. I know how to travel the entire state, and we'll have Meet Monty meetings in every county in Tennessee. You want to come ask me anything. If I can't answer it, I'll tell you I can't. And I hope if you're okay, whomever that is, I don't mind arguing, because if I think it's constitutional, I'm going to stick with that. But it's important. I think people expect that. I think that we have – I'll chase this for just a minute. One of the things I think we have to do, it's like number 2 or number 3 on my list, is that we have to recalibrate government in Nashville, not the state employee. I know I used to be a state employee back when I was a young guy. They feel abandoned by what's happening in Nashville right now. Many of our average state employees do. But the leadership in Nashville has forgotten 2 things: that they are bound by the Constitution just like I am, and number 2, that they work for you.
Amen.
And they've forgotten that. The responses I get back from senior leadership sometimes, not always, there's some good men and women that serve in that, but the responses are like dismissive, that, well, this person doesn't really matter. And so one of the ways we're going to fix that, I'm going to recalibrate it, is some of those people that have been arguing against your rights, some of the people that have been slithering down the halls of Cordell Hull building and sitting in committees and arguing against your gun rights and your property rights, they're going to be reassigned pretty quickly and given an opportunity to work on the governor's helpline.
Let's go.
Because I think that you shouldn't have to call your state rep or your state senator to complain about a TDOT where the potholes are so bad that you can't drive. I think you ought to be able to call the one responsible for that, and that's the governor. And I think that you ought to be able to press 1 for TDOT or press 2 for DCS. I think there ought to be a line, an email that they actually respond to, and take away the burden. And I think the Hill is loving that people have a complaint about any of the departments and they call the state rep. I have no authority to force them to do anything. You got to go to where the buck stops, and we will set that up in Tennessee, and that will recalibrate how these folks think, and it's needed.
Monty Fritz is running for governor. He wants to take your questions. He's willing to answer any of them. He'll even tell you if he doesn't know. I love that. I love that, by the way. Another edition of Come At Me, Bruh. That's what we're calling this. Do you know that? We call it Come At Me, Bruh. If you got a question for Monty Fritz, he's running for governor. He's going to answer it. 615-737-9986. Your phone calls next on Super Talk.
So put my headphones on now.
Good morning. It's now 9:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Starting this school year, Tennessee students must take a gun safety course every year. But despite that, Nashville area students are planning a gun legislation walkout for today. Here's Channel 4's Joylyn Bukovac.
These student walkouts are being organized by Students Demand Action, and organizers say it highlights the urgency for safety protocols after more than 90 incidents of gunfire on school grounds already happened this year.
These walkouts start at noon at 4 local schools. In the wake of the deadly shooting at a Minneapolis school by a man who believed he was a woman, the Justice Department is reportedly considering barring some trans people from owning guns. It's important to note that the American Psychiatric Association redefined gender identity disorder to dysphoria in 2013. They now claim that it's not a mental illness.
But sources say federal officials are debating whether gender dysphoria could fall under a federal law that bans people adjudicated as a mental defective from owning guns. Currently under the law, that determination can only be made by a court or other lawful authority.
That's ABC's Ike Ejochi. A medical and dental clinic for people with special needs is set to close at the end of this month. It's Kramer Davis Clinic in Hermitage. It lost its private funding, which is bad news for parents who have relied on that clinic for their kids' special needs.
We've already been through so much, just trying to find the right care for him. And then to lose it and then have to start all over again? No, thank you.
Clinic leaders and supporters are appealing to the state of Tennessee, including Governor Bill Lee, for temporary funding to keep that clinic open. Stocks have turned negative. The Dow Jones Industrial is now down 250. We've got the NASDAQ falling 54. S&P 500 index minus 27. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
This is Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friends at Cabinet Makeovers. I could tell you so much about these cabinets that they've installed in my home. They're beautiful. They're unbelievable. The pull-out cabinets, fantastic. But I want to tell you a little bit about the team behind Cabinet Makeovers real quick. When you got a guy that comes into your home like Dan, the owner of Cabinet Makeovers, and he's not just there to install the cabinets and get the heck out of Dodge. He sits down and he talks to your kids about what he's doing. He helps them turn the screwdriver. He speaks to them about Jesus. You're getting a lot more in your house than just cabinets. But the cabinets are really nice, too. I'm not going to lie to you, and I'm very excited about them. The wife likes them as well. Family-owned company, 45 years in Tennessee. Everything they do is Tennessee-made. Every cabinet, pull-out, drawer, all wood construction, full extension, soft close glides. The craftsmanship is top-notch. If you need new cabinets in your house, if your wife has been asking you for new cabinets in your house, call Cabinet Makeovers. That's what I did. 615-331-7010, 615-331-7010, or find them online, cabinetmakeoverstn.com. Elon Musk's privately funded tunnel from downtown BNA.
The most cutting-edge transit systems in the world.
They call it the Music City Loop. We call it the BNA hole.
We've submitted a list of questions, and so we're looking forward to the opportunity to get answers.
Questions like, how does a tunnel work? Or how can I be the biggest a-hole in the room without even trying? Because clearly, the fiscally responsible thing to do is to keep traffic backed up until every driver becomes an a-hole. The BNA hole. Zero cost to the taxpayers, and that's the real problem for the left.
I kind of think that's on brand.
Not enough opportunity to play tax collector a-hole. The BNA hole, where progress goes to upset liberals.
I'm Pastor Alan Jackson, and I'm excited to invite you to join me for my brand new show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Every Sunday night from 7 to 8, I'll be talking about the week's news and headlines, but through a biblical lens. Together, we'll look at what's happening in our world and how God's Word can guide us through it. Join me, Pastor Alan Jackson, Sunday evenings at 7 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and you can listen on iHeartRadio and tune in.
All right, so anyway, Canada.
In the unlikely event that you find yourself the victim of a home invasion, we are urging citizens not to take matters into their own hands. But don't engage unless absolutely necessary.
Is that so? Don't take matters into your own hands? Bro, they're in my living room.
We urge you to call 911 and do everything you can to keep yourself and loved ones safe until police arrive, and be the best witness possible.
Oh, be the best witness possible. As your wife is being beaten by home invaders, you're being tied up. Just call Lee, chip in, and be a great witness. You know, Superman, and then, you know, you got Bizarro. In Florida, they're like, we're going to shoot you stone cold dead. This is Bizarro, Florida. Is that what Ontario is?
It's close enough.
J.D. Vance descended upon Union Station in Washington, D.C. today, and he was met with some unhinged leftist protesters.
You big f***ing Nazi!
Now, there's a couple ways that you can deal with radical leftist lunatics, but I want to highlight the method that JD chose today. This method is, of course, the all-encompassing point and laugh.
This is the guy who thinks people don't deserve law and order in their own community.
Like and subscribe for more tips on how to deal with unhinged leftist lunatics out in the wild. This has been brought to you by our friends at Zero Res Nashville. If you need your carpets cleaned, go to ZeroResNashville.com. It's 9:39 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners. If you need from one of those, get them from somebody that doesn't hate you. Buy it from Patriots, betterwater.com. Love those guys. We're in studio with another Patriot, Monty Fritz, state representative. He has just announced, well, I'll let you announce it again, Monty.
I'm going to apply to 7 million people of Tennessee to serve them for 4 years as their governor. I'm going to run for governor in Tennessee.
So we got a 3-man race now.
Yes.
Yeah. John Rose, Marsha Blackburn, and Monty Fritz.
Yes.
I'm really excited. So we do this thing on the show called Come At Me, Bruh, where you guys get to ask the officials who want your vote any question you want, and nothing's off the table. Like nothing. Bring the crazy. We're happy to have it. The one thing we ask is that there's no glazing and no political junk. I don't want your team calling in and throwing you softballs. That's pretty much the only thing I ask. If the other political teams want to come in and throw you curveballs, I'm fine with that.
Me too.
Because I think that's healthy.
Me too.
John Rose has participated in Come At Me, Brah. Marsha Blackburn hasn't been invited for a session of Come At Me, Brah. I have not heard back. We're still waiting, and we're still working on that. Monty Fritz is here, and he's welcome to take your questions. So without further ado, this is Come At Me, Brah. 615-737-9986. If you got a question for Monty Fritz. Let's go to Jeff in Hendersonville. You're on the line with Monty. What's up, Jeff?
Hey, how you doing, brah?
What's up?
Good morning, Jeff.
Hey, sir. How you doing? I'm originally from San Diego, and I picked up the show just jumping into work, and I didn't know your name. I couldn't get it, so I called in just to see who's speaking, because you're definitely resonating with me as a, somebody who is a political refugee from an absolutely state that is overrun with overreach and probably from the point of no return. So a lot of Californians, just so you Tennesseans out there, most of us are more conservative than you are, and that's why we moved our entire family, left friends, homes, businesses, and that's why we're here. So I'm definitely picking up what you're putting down. I got a good sense of where you stand on the health thing. We left because we felt the jab was going to be mandated for our kids.
Yep.
And also in California at age 12, that ends your any parental oversight you have over your children's medical treatment or information. Yeah, you can pay for their bill and you can schedule a flu shot, and that's it. You can't ask their doctor anything about birth control, gender reassignment, nothing. Age 12.
Can I offer you something there, Jeff? Can I step on you just a second and offer you something?
Please.
So these people, it's like that silly Tim Kaine up in Virginia, the senator that was talking about rights coming from law rather than from God. And so when these people start to make decisions, whether it's in California or Tennessee, and it'd be a hard thing to leave San Diego because it's a beautiful place. I like San Diego, California. But what they are doing is practicing a form of idolatry because they are putting themselves in what our founders view, because they were creationists in their worldview, all flawed men like me, but they were creationists in their worldview. And they knew that our rights come from God, our blessings come from God. Liberty, 2 Corinthians is where the presence of the Lord is, there's liberty. It's of God. And so when they start telling you that at age 13, you can't decide for your children anymore.
No, 12.
Or 12, yeah.
You're a year late.
Yeah, but when they start that, they're practicing authority that, A, the Constitution doesn't give them, and Almighty God is not giving them, because God is the one that blesses us with those children. And so that's an atrocious thing. What we have to be careful with here in Tennessee, just to be honest with you, and part of the reason I felt called to run, and I've prayed on this for a long time, but just talk about the budget for a minute. We've gone from 37.5 to 59.5 billion budget requests in 6 years. And for every one of those, what I think are overtaxed dollars because we've been spending them on corporate welfare, what that does is it relieves you of some of your liberty. Every time, Jeff, we take one of your dollars, your liberty is diminished just a little bit.
Oh, no question.
And then we grow this government, and whether it's numbers of state employees or numbers of contractors and non-government organizations that we fool with, and we take your liberty, and often it's going to come at you like this. Well, we're trying to make you safer. Right? Or we're going to give you choice. I'm going to really tick some folks off with this one. But we were already liberated in Tennessee. Most of us think, I don't need you to monetize my decisions. I don't need you to try to convince me to get my kids a shot that I don't want to, or vaccinate them with anything that I want to, because God gave that child to me. What I need you, government, is to get out of my way and secure my rights. I think that's what.
Well, let me just say this. I'm going to step on you then, sir. Like, we're still amazed at the low voter turnout and the apathy. I don't know. People are just certain. Listen, I'm just going to say that the left is absolutely laser focused and organized and executing. Listen, get out and vote, and also open primaries. What's that all about? Like, I've seen, I'll tell you what, just local from where I'm from, people that are absolutely not conservative or Republican running as such, and then getting votes in the open primaries, and then absolutely, getting in. And people here, I think, are a little more trusting than they should be on that. These people are absolutely focused on getting power.
Fair.
Jeff, I would offer you this too, and I'll stop.
And we appreciate the call, Jeff.
I do. I'll ask for your vote, and I'll ask if the message of liberty and less government resonates with you, go tell 10 of your friends and ask them to go tell 10 more. Because we're going to run up against a political machine, not the people, but a political machine that doesn't want people like me. They say Monty shouldn't even apply for this kind of job. He doesn't know enough people. And so what it's going to require is you telling folks and them telling folks and getting them energized and getting their butts to the polls to vote. And I need that. I appreciate you calling, brother.
What do you think about open primaries?
I think that the Yankees wouldn't let the Dodgers pick their manager. And I think that's the best I've had. I'm plagiarizing somebody, but I think that's it. I don't think we should have open primary. I think we need to close them down. I think there's different ways to do that because I do think there's a lot of people who have been Democrats, and they're not the crazy AOC Democrats that hate America. They're communists, they're Marxists, they're atheists. It's not them. They love the country. They grew up at a different time. They were John F. Kennedy.
Yeah, well, this is how I turned my mother and father-in-law. I said, you understand if JFK ran today with the same exact plan, he'd be a Republican, right?
Yeah. So I think we got to make sure that we leave an opportunity to pull those people into the Republican Party. But aside from even parties, brother, I think the big thing is vote like an American. Vote Tennessee values, and close the primaries. And I think nature will take its course. Because if we adhere to the platform, today's Democrat platform, there's no choice. You're going to be a Republican.
Matt, who's on the road, has a question for Monty Fritz, who's running for governor. Matt, real quick, what do you got?
Hey, Monty, so last year in judiciary, we had a 50-50 equal shared parenting bill fail led by lawyers. When it does come back up in this legislative session, would you support 50-50 equal shared parenting so we can put fathers back in the lives of our children and stop the corrupt criminal family court system and the Title 4D money that comes in the state and goes into the pockets of the attorneys?
I'll give you a short answer, a yes. And boy, that's a mouthful. You've thought about this, so I take it you've got some passion behind it. What I think we do in some cases there now, brother, is we also decide that we're going to perpetuate the status quo rather than just do what is right. And God give those children to the mother and the father. And I think that's an important thing. I think there are deadbeat dads that ought to have their butts kicked for not helping take care of their children. But I also think that there are deadbeat moms that leverage that against good men and hold the child hostage between the parents. I will tell you where the real accountability is going to come in there. Someday those men and those women are going to stand before a righteous God, and they're going to have to give account for the fact that they harmed their children by using them as a weapon against the other. And so the answer is yes, but you get a little philosophy on that too.
Let's go to Legend in the Borough. You got a question for Monty Fritz, who's running for governor in Tennessee. What's up, Legend?
Hi. Will you send the National Guard to Memphis?
Thank you for that question, Legend.
Good question.
And where do you live? Again?
She was in the borough.
In the borough. Okay. Hey, it's good to talk to you. Thank you for asking. So I'm a former National Guardsman. The answer is yes, but we have to do that the right way. Article 3, Section 5 of the Tennessee Constitution. So many times nowadays we're getting outside what the bounds of the Constitution are. We've got to do it that way. So I think what's happening in Memphis and in Nashville and sometimes in Knoxville is a rebellion of crime. And I think when you read that Tennessee Constitution, go read it, please, if you haven't read that, Article 3, Section 5, and it says the General Assembly shall declare by law. I wrote a bill to do that a couple of years ago, and I would ask the General Assembly to move on that again. I think the governor ought to be asking for that. As a matter of fact, we called special sessions, the current governor. We called special sessions to take gun rights away from us. We called a special session and we leveraged helping our friends in Upper Tennessee just to pass this voucher scam. Why shouldn't we call a special session to give Article 3, Section 5 authority to Governor Lee so that he can send some troops down to Memphis to help? And I'd start first with the illegals that are in the crime, because it is a constitutional apostasy, I think, that we have folks that are afraid to go out of their door because we're not doing the function of government. We're worried more about sometimes pandering to the celebrity than we are doing the right thing. And last thought on this. And this is going to tick some people off here in Nashville too, but we should stop sending our guardsmen. I deployed to Iraq, ma'am. I re-enlisted at age 40. The soldier goes, the volunteer, the John Sevier runs toward danger. That's just part of being a Tennessean, right? So it's not the soldier. And we have good men and women right now in combat zones, I think, around the world that are Tennesseans. But what we ought to do is start asking the question about what is this undeclared war that we're sending these troops off to so regularly and diminishing our ability to quell civil disturbances at home when we have rebellions or invasions. So the short answer is yes, we got to do it the right way.
Monty Fritz is running for governor in the state of Tennessee. Just announced this morning, breaking news. So we now have a 3-person race. A lot of people on the text line are asking your stance on marijuana. And I got a text here in particular that I think is going to hit different for you because of your service. It says, I'd like to know his stance on marijuana. It is an absolute blessing from God for my PTSD. 4 combat tours, Iraq, Afghanistan, and I will not take psychotropic meds. I have taken them, and they're horrible on me. I can't drink legal alcohol because it's a poison, number one, and makes me an angry drinker, thanks to the Army. Your stance on medical marijuana and recreational marijuana?
Can I have this person's name, first name?
I don't have the first name.
Well,
it's 8883.
8883, I appreciate you, Kyle. Appreciate you 4 tours. I've only done 1 combat tour in Iraq, so I appreciate it. And we have to look at things God didn't design our eyes to see and do things God didn't design our hands to do. And so, brother, you hang in there. And remember, we're still in the fight. Don't give up. Don't give up, period. To the marijuana question, I'll give you a little background. I've seen so many people harmed and get into an addiction with marijuana. And so we have 2 big forces, I think, right now, both big money forces that are pushing for legalizing marijuana. Part of that is a lobby that wants us to be like Colorado. I don't want that. The other part is a lobby that's the pharmaceutical lobby who the last few years have proven they do not have our health in mind. And so I'm concerned about the dollars with either one of those avenues. But I do think that first, the VA ought to be caring for you, and there ought to be an opportunity for you to be provided something that does help. I'll even go a step further. Those people that, that raise or grow on their own property, you're not going to drive when you're high, you're not out in public when you're high. I don't know that we ought to be messing with that any. But just don't mishear the answer I'm giving you that I want you to have help. And we have to be specific in how we do that. But what I do not want us to do is to enrich the pharmaceutical companies nor the lobbies that want a stoned environment. And I know that's not what you want, brother. I know that. Hear my heart. The money that comes into that stuff, it's like the alcohol lobby. They don't care how many lives they ruin. They don't care how many people die in car crashes and how many of us become angry drunks, as you mentioned, just because we drink. Just keep pumping the money.
70% of alcohol sales come from alcoholics.
Yes.
Yeah. This is a guy who doesn't drink. I am an alcoholic. I don't drink because of that. 70% of alcohol sales come from the alcoholics.
I'm gonna put a friend of mine on the spot a little bit here, and I love him. He knows I love him, and he's not an alcoholic, but he was impacted greatly by an alcohol-related crash that killed all of his family but one child, Saran Stacy, who lives here in Middle Tennessee. Now, if you ever get a chance to talk to him, he's a great man of God. He's a gracious man of God. We got a chance first to pray together down in Lynchburg and pray for Tennessee back in 2024, and he was praying for those folks because they were having some issues in Lynchburg, Tennessee, where their whole economy is driven by alcohol. And good people working there. But the lobby that pushes it, it's, between the drunken politicians and the drunken lobbyists that push it and throw the money at it, it's sickening to me what I see in some of that. If you want, Jesus turned water into wine. I'm convinced that he turned dirty hand-washing water into high-quality, high-alcohol content wine. I'm convinced that there's a use for it, and the Bible says there's a use for it. I think what I find profane is the just pushing it with no responsibility for what it's doing to people.
What would you say to the argument that alcohol is more of a gateway drug than marijuana?
I would probably agree with you, and it's much more accessible, and it's much more socially and societally acceptable that we start giving kids a drink when they're early in their years, and they develop an addiction. Some have that tendency once they have that drink, they have a hard time letting it go, and I would agree with that. I think it's terrible, and I don't take money from these PACs anyway, so I don't care what they think, but shame on them for what they've pushed and promoted. We've found ourselves with liquor stores on every corner, and so for the person like 8883 that we were just talking to, that can find some relief from marijuana, whether it's administered by a doctor, however that comes. He sees that as a bit hypocritical when we have the streets flowing with whiskey and beer.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people do.
Yep.
If it was put to a vote and it passes, it gets through the state legislature, it gets to your desk to legalize it medicinally and recreationally, what do you do?
Not recreationally. I wouldn't recreationally. I would say that it depends on how that bill's written. And I think it's part of the problem we have right now in Nashville. Is whatever the governor wants, he gets and sends it through and rams it through. I think there needs to be a little tension between the General Assembly and the governor's office. And I think there needs to be a willingness to veto things to sharpen them up. I have that willingness. Depending on how it's written, I could get there for helping people. I can't get there for the recreational part of it. I just can't. And to be honest with you, I had a colleague who was greatly injured by an alcohol-related crash. And when he tried to do some things to slow down the consumption while driving, he was ridiculed. I think at the end, there was only a couple of us that stayed co-sponsors on his bill to try to control it.
So with the marijuana, it does sound to me, though, that you're not in favor of big government. You're not necessarily wanting to legalize it for recreational reasons, but you're down for decriminalization.
To some extent, and especially if I struggle with the doctors getting involved, because then you have insurance companies. I think that if we get to the liberty perspective on it, that it's not somebody getting wealthy, it's not the drug dealer, it's not the cartel. I could probably get there. But I think it becomes a complex decision about how we arrive at that and what the bill does allow.
Monty Fritz is running for governor in the state of Tennessee. Monty, how can we learn more about you, keep up with you, and help you with the campaign?
Go to Fritz, Fritts, the number 4, TN.com, fritzfortn.com. You can check me out on Facebook with just my name, Monty Fritz, Monty, Fritts. And I've got a little bit of a Twitter presence too, so or X, whatever it is.
Yeah, I still say Twitter. Monty Fritz running for governor. Thank you for the time today, and good luck in the race.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
It's 9:58, Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
Boy, that was a fast hour.
Yeah, man.
Well, good morning, 10 o'clock now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. It appears that Venezuela is now responding to the U.S. drone strike that obliterated a drug-carrying vessel in the Caribbean. ABC's Nicole D'Antonio.
What U.S. officials call a highly provocative move. The Pentagon says 2 Venezuela military planes flew near a U.S. Navy ship. The Pentagon last night claiming the Venezuelan flights were designed to interfere with our counter-narco-terror operations.
The Defense Department also issuing a statement. It said, quote, the cartel running Venezuela is strongly advised not to pursue any further effort to obstruct, deter, or interfere with counter-narcotics operations carried out by the U.S. military. Nashville is set now to install bollards along Broadway to prevent tragedies like the deadly terror attack in New Orleans on New Year's Day. NDOT is going to install so-called Raptor bollards along Fifth Avenue and Broadway. Those bollards roll out of the ground and then roll back in. News 2's Lexi Wilson says NDOT calls them really great.
Really great at a cost. Officials say $2.6 million has been allocated for this project as of right now, but they could need more down the line. The pilot program will last a year, then possibly expand to the remainder of Broadway and First Avenue. NDOT officials will close Fifth and Broadway for about 3 weeks in November. The project is expected to be fully completed by January 2026.
Lexi also telling us that NDOT originally proposed retractable bollards, but Raptor bollards require less digging, and that means less impact to utilities. An elderly woman who was critically injured in a hit-and-run crash outside of a Murfreesboro Kroger store has now died. That crash happened at the Kroger on South Church Street on August 24th. The driver was tracked down and arrested the next day. She's identified as 44-year-old Heather Keller of Murfreesboro. Police are saying she was driving on a revoked license and that the list of charges against her may be updated now with the death of the pedestrian. The latest economic indicators point to a cooling job market. ABC's Mike Dubusky has more.
Employers added just 22,000 jobs last month, according to the latest report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Healthcare jobs rose slightly, but were offset by job losses in mining, oil and gas, and the federal government. The unemployment rate, meanwhile, remained unchanged for the month of August, holding steady at 4.3%.
Now, while the pace of hiring was slow, average hourly earnings increased 0.3% for the month, and that was in line with expectations. That's the latest news. We've got your weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
It's 10:08 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. There's a lot of commotion going on at the White House right now, and we're going beyond the fence with Monica Paige right now.
Live from the North Lawn of the White House, it's Beyond the Fence with Monica Paige.
Monica, how are you? And welcome back to the show.
Hi, Chris. Great to be with you guys. How you doing? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Me and Mason, my producer, he's like, Monica says there's a lot going on in the background. And I was like, that is so cool. Yes. What is happening at the White House currently behind you?
It is pretty cool. I don't know if you can hear the band in the background playing the trumpets. It is probably the coolest thing. Each, I guess, ambassador or representatives from each different kinds of country. I really don't know which countries are here right now because I've lost track. There's got to be at least a dozen here or arriving here, as you can see behind me. They're going through this credentialing ceremony here at the White House, where I'm assuming they will either be with Monica Crowley or President Trump and kind of just be officially honored here at the White House. This is the first time that I've seen anything like this. We didn't see anything like this under the previous administration, at least not in the year and a half that I covered. But this is definitely something special. It's definitely not something that you see every day.
Yeah, well, and it's happening after 11 o'clock on the East Coast. We know that Joe Biden normally would have called a lid by this time.
Right. Or you'd be sleeping or heading to the beach.
Yeah, I think we couldn't have an interview without a construction update. I was paying attention to your Twitter yesterday, and there's some people inspecting the roof of the West Wing now. It seems like they're renovating the entire building at this point.
It really seems like it, doesn't it? But they were supposed to have the dinner in the Rose Garden last night with the big tech CEOs like Mark Zuckerberg. You had Bill Gates. But they had to move it inside because we actually got a major thunderstorm. But essentially what this construction is on the top of the West Wing are just these kind of spotlights, these theater-style lights. So they will be pointing down towards the Rose Garden. He actually has another dinner scheduled tonight around 7:30 p.m. Eastern time in the Rose Garden. So hopefully he'll be able to put those lights to use and won't get rained out. But he definitely plans to use that back patio space for sure. I mean, it's stunning. It's got plenty of seating, and he definitely likes to host events. So we'll definitely keep an eye on it tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like beautiful weather. What is it, like 70 degrees now in D.C. for you guys? Looks absolutely gorgeous out there as we see the motorcades driving behind you. That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we got word that there could be an executive order signed today. What do you know about it? What's happening at the White House?
Well, the Department of Defense could become the Department of War starting today, which is really exciting. So, you have Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. He could be War Secretary Pete Hegseth starting today. He actually teased ahead a couple of times. He was actually in Georgia just this past week, and now I believe he's back, probably joining President Trump this afternoon for this big announcement. But essentially, this is kind of reestablishing the war ethos that this Trump administration has really been pushing. Because as we know, over the last 4 years, we didn't really get much enthusiasm when it comes to our nation's military. We had maybe some wokeness happening in the military, transgender soldiers, whatever it may have been. But now the president and his administration is really trying to reestablish this excitement and this macho-ness of being in the military, serving their country, and that also begins with some rhetoric, changing the name to the Department of War, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of it. I love the emphasis that Hegseth has been putting on the war fighters, and I think this goes back to it. We did have Mark Milley worrying about white rage, but it seems like those days are over.
Yeah, right. Or I don't even know. Remember when Lloyd Austin left his post for multiple weeks and nobody knew where the hell he went? Yeah, we don't have that anymore.
What a mess. I've heard also that there may be a new portrait in the White House of the auto pen. Have you seen the new portrait?
I haven't seen it yet, but I believe in the coming weeks, once he starts having more Oval Office events, which I think that he will, for the sole purpose of showing the press his beautiful long lists of presidential portraits. But towards the end, you might notice an auto pen picture instead of Joe Biden, which I think is so clever. He actually asked, so Reagan Reese did that interview from the Daily Caller. She's a very good friend of mine. And the president actually asked Reagan what she thought of putting the auto pen picture there. And she said, I think you should do it. So he liked the enthusiasm behind that as well. So we're very excited to see that once it's all finished.
Yeah, no, I think that's going to be really cool. And you said, there's going to be more events in the coming weeks. That's good. We don't want any more Democrats worrying that the president is dead. What was the vibe inside the White House over the weekend and into Monday as people were worried about Donald Trump being dead?
It was very confusing because we see the president all the time, and I'm sure you remember just that same week, you had the president hosting a 3+ hour cabinet meeting where we saw him speaking non-stop. So to say the president is done is ridiculous. I mean, God forbid we go maybe 2 days, the president enjoys a Labor Day weekend to himself, golfing. But as you know, golfing isn't just for leisure. You're
Right.
also making business deals. You're meeting with people. You're constantly chatting with people. The president just keeps going. He is nonstop. Whereas we had Joe Biden taking weeks-long beach vacations. I remember this time last year, I'd say about August of last year, we only had, 3 or 4 press briefings in August?
Right.
It was really insane. We barely heard from that administration. We barely got to see the president over the last, I'd say, 2+ years that I was covering this White House. It was really, really brutal.
Do you think that the fear that President Trump was dead was more of an indictment on the lack of what we saw from Biden, or is it more of like a props to how much we see Trump?
It's the left trying to project. They know that they didn't have a functioning president over the last 4 years. So they're going to do everything that they can to say the same things we were saying about Joe Biden, about President Trump. And it's just not going to work. We see how much this president works. And I love the blue anons because they're like the QAnon,
Yep.
but on the left, and they
Yep.
call them blue anons. They're just completely baseless claims. And the president defies those claims every single day. We see him nearly every day, which is fantastic. I just can't even imagine, when I was covering the last administration, only seeing the president arrive and depart off the South Lawn. That's it. That's all you get. Maybe once every couple months, we see him make an announcement and not take questions. I mean, it's faceless. It's projecting. That's just the left for you.
Yeah, and I think that it's crazy because the left, you weren't allowed to ask any questions about it. It was you're seeing things. It's a deep fake. It's a cheap fake. But at least on the right, we do ask questions. There has been bruising on his hands. There has been the weird foundation. What have you heard about the president's health lately?
Well, we did get that physical early on in this administration. I believe maybe 3 months ago, I'd say, just in the start of summer, we saw that physical report. And this administration was very transparent about it. I believe that they did highlight some very minor concerns about the president's blood circulation and his ankles or whatever, because there's that viral picture of him having swollen ankles. But
Yep.
the president does remain in good health. He does take a cognitive test. He does show that he can do his job, fulfill his responsibilities every single day. Whereas the last administration, they wanted you to trust the government. They wanted you to trust what they were saying. He doesn't need to take a cognitive test. Trust what we are saying because we see him every day. Meantime, Andy Bates, who testifies on Congress on the Hill, or excuse me, I believe it was Ian Sams, who's the White House counsel senior advisor. He says he only saw Joe Biden twice.
Which is
What
crazy.
Is that?
He was one of his biggest spokesperson for 2 years, and you only saw him twice, and you're telling us on TV that he's running circles around people?
Yeah, come on. This is it's criminal what they did. Criminal.
Yeah, it's a joke. It's an absolute joke. As the day moves forward, there is going to be more talk, and there's going to be more work to be done. The DOJ floating an idea considering a gun ban for transgender individuals. When I look at this, I think it's brilliant on its face because you either make the left defend gun rights or abandon the trans demographic. What are you hearing about this at the White House? Are they serious, or are they floating this to kind of set a trap for the left?
They're definitely serious about this. From my understanding in this White House, they know that we have a huge problem on our hands. I mean, there is just a rap list of those with mental illness obtaining firearms and causing these mass casualties, specifically among Christians, Catholics, maybe even young people specifically. But it's clear that these people have an agenda. They need help. They don't need to be put on gender affirming hormones or get, mauled in surgery, cutting off limbs and different things. That's not what these kids need. They need to go to therapy. They need to reestablish, a nuclear family, a safe space at home. It's completely backwards, and I think this White House is taking the correct approach. But I believe they will be treading lightly on this because there can be a little bit of gray area when it comes to this kind of stuff, kind of like the First Amendment and the burning the American flag thing. Who can and cannot obtain firearms? So they're going to be treading lightly, but this is definitely a serious issue that we need to really be honest, have an honest conversation with ourselves about.
If you reclassify it as a mental illness, I believe that they can make this happen.
Yeah, reopen the mental institutions. That's for sure.
Make them great again. We're talking with Monica Paige. She's our White House reporter, reporting live from the White House North Lawn currently, where there's a credentialing ceremony. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can see all of the honor guards standing behind her, Marines, Navy members, and the like. It looks very, very cool. Find us on YouTube. Monica, as you're down there, we're feeling the aftermath of the RFK Senate hearings that happened yesterday, which was just a firestorm. What is the administration saying about what happened yesterday with RFK?
Well, the administration's been nothing but supportive of RFK Jr. because he's clearly doing what he was hired and meant to do. And he's been passionate about this for quite some time. And it's about time we hold some accountability. We expose the truth behind these matters, whether it's about health and what's poisoning our food, poisoning our kids, vaccines, especially what's been in them. Why is the schedule so, I don't know, kind of compact with 75 vaccines within the first month?
Yeah,
there's no need for that. And I feel really bad for RFK Jr. because when he's sitting there getting berated by these people who have sat in the same seat for decades and did nothing but watch the child mortality rate or the childhood obesity rate go up and do nothing about it, that just goes to show that they have been wrong about this.
Yep.
And now we finally have somebody in our administration who's going to do something about it and do something about it quickly.
Is there a rift between Donald Trump and RFK, or are they still tight?
No, I think they're still tight. I think Trump's very happy with what he's doing, and I mean, how could you not be when you're trying to make America healthy again?
Yeah, and I think sometimes the voices that are speaking out against you, it's like, we've seen what makes you cheer, so your boos mean nothing to us.
Right.
We're talking with Monica Paige. She's our White House reporter for Turning Point USA in Frontline. She's live from the White House North Lawn. Every week, she highlights a story that the mainstream media is not paying attention to. What story does the American people need to hear coming out of the White House this week?
My favorite story, Chris, is probably the attack on that Venezuelan boat carrying 11 narco-terrorists, 11 Tren de Aragua members, trying to smuggle in poisonous drugs into our country. And the president ordered our military to say, you know what, strike this boat, get these guys out of here. They are narco-terrorists. They are a designated foreign terrorist organization, and completely eliminated them. This is a perfect example of deterrence, escalation, to de-escalate and keep Americans safe.
Yeah, I've said it a long time. If you want to get the Americans behind any war, go after the cartels. Go after these narco terrorists that are pumping our streets full of fentanyl. We need that. That story should be celebrated. And for some reason, the left, they're defending the narco terrorists.
Yeah, they're offering their condolences that the president shouldn't have done that, or there were just 11 people, not specifically saying who these people are. They're not good people. It's not like they're innocent. They're illegal aliens trying to come to our country with drugs, a war on illegal immigration that we just saw the last 4 years, a war on drugs that's been killing our own citizens. I mean, you put two and two together, there's no reason to feel bad for these people, unfortunately. Sorry.
I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. Monica Paige is our reporter from the White House. She's a member of Turning Point USA's Frontlines team. She's one of the best reporters that you can follow. Monica, where can we find you online?
Thank you so much, Chris, on X and on Instagram at Monica Paige TV. I really appreciate coming on every week, Chris. You do such a great job.
No, you do the great job. I just get out of the way. Monica Paige, thank you for your time once again. It's 10:21. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here, and you know that I love me some Second Amendment. I do. I don't just own guns. I carry them a lot. Sometimes a couple. Do you carry guns? Well, listen, carrying them, owning them, it's not enough. You got to train. You got to train. Where I train is over at the Glock store because I don't want to just stand in a lane punching paper targets over and over. I could do that 5,000 times and then never actually be ready. When I train at the Glock store, I'm actually getting ready. Their Shoot 270 indoor ranges are next level. Real training rooms, not just lanes, working with professional instructors with years of experience, running drills, multiple targets, learning how to clear rooms in the dark, practicing drawing from concealment until it becomes second nature. If you haven't trained at the Glock store, you need to. Owning a gun is a right. but knowing how to use it under pressure, that's a responsibility. The Glock store is going to make it simple. Go to shoot270.com and book your appointment, and that's it. You're ready to train. Shoot270.com. The Shoot 270 indoor ranges are only at the Glock store, minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere. Jody Barrett, he's running for the recently vacated congressional seat of Mark Green. What's up, Jody?
How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. Let's play a little word association.
All right, let's go.
Bobby Kennedy.
Good guy.
Operation Warp Speed.
Not so much.
Fluoride in the drinking water.
Get it out of here.
Geoengineering or chemtrails?
Absolutely real.
Absolutely real. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's real. It's a real thing. We have documentation to prove that.
What are you going to do about it?
Well, we're trying at the state level. I think, the eyes are being opened. You mentioned Marjorie Taylor Greene earlier. She's putting legislation forth on this at the federal level. I think ultimately all of this has to end up in the president's desk and him understand what's really going on and buy into it, just like we saw in TVA in the Cheatham County fight. Once he gets involved, things happen. And so I think that's where you really are lobbying a party of one there to try to get the president to understand how big a deal this is.
Thank you, Joan. It's 1026 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. I already had a heck of a show. It's not even 10:30 yet. We had Monty Fritz come on and announce that he's running for governor of Tennessee. We had Monica Paige from the White House. Did you see the honor guards and all the members of the military behind her?
Yeah, it was awesome.
I found myself getting distracted because I was watching her video feed while she's answering questions, but I'm paying attention to what's happening in the background. Were you doing that too?
Oh, I was doing the exact same thing. Plus, also you could hear the horns going off in the background and seeing like the cars, the flags on them. It's just cool.
Well, and she had sent a video to you,
dude. It's
of
cool.
What was going on in real time when like the music was blaring. We weren't sure if we were going to be able to get her on because the music was so loud.
Yeah, there's a little hesitation there. I'll send it to you actually, so you can post it on Twitter so people could see it there.
Okay,
That'd be
cool.
really cool.
Yeah. Just another reason why you got to watch us on YouTube and Rumble.
Check it out.
The videos, man. The video element to the show is top notch, and having Monica Paige reporting from in front of the White House, it's a blessing. It's just cool. I'm grateful for her.
It's the best.
She's awesome too. Low key, just like one of the nicest ladies you could meet.
Oh, for sure.
Yep. All right, so we got a lot to get to, and very short amount of time. My friend Hannah Faulkner, one of the best Gen Z Zoomers you could ever meet, is going to be joining the show at 11:05. Really excited to talk to her about this war on Christianity that we've been seeing. I don't know if you saw the news story, but there was fitting to be a wild event happening in Viterbo, Italy. This is at Macchina di Santa Rosa, okay? 2 Turks were arrested. They were going to open fire on this festival. a festival with 40,000 Christians in attendance. By the grace of God, authorities tracked these guys down. They found them with firearms out, open windows, ready to open fire on this crowd. Semi-automatic pistol, an assault machine gun made in Eastern Europe were found loaded and ready for use. There was leaked rumors. It appears that at the time of the officers' raid, the weapons were loaded and resting in plain view on one of the room's pieces of furniture. This and the presence of an open window led the police to think that the two were preparing to shoot at the crowd assembled for the festivities, or even at the car dedicated to the saint and the porters, the faithful carrying the canopy, who would have paraded shortly afterwards. There's a hypothesis that investigators continue to consider, although subsequent investigations are being carried out and they're checking phones and the like. But it seems like we dodged, as Christians, another horrible, horrible attack. And shout out to the Italian police. Prime Minister Meloni congratulating police forces on the arrests, saying congratulations to the forces of order and the Interior Minister for the prompt intervention that led to the arrest of 2 armed Turkish citizens in Viterbo just hours before the feast of the Macchina di Santa Rosa. Council President Giorgia Meloni wrote this on Facebook, a decisive operation that made it possible to safely celebrate an event that is uniquely in the world, which has been recognized by UNESCO as an intangible heritage of humanity and represents a centuries-old tradition deeply felt by the people of Viterbo and by many Italians, the premier concluded. So this is just a wild story. We're going to talk about that and the overall war on Christianity that we're seeing in the world currently with Hannah Faulkner, who is just a young, bright, up-and-coming star in the conservative movement, hardcore Christian, one of the best Zoomers that you can meet. We'll talk about the overall war on Christianity after 11 o'clock as well. In the meantime, after the newscast, I want to get into the surge that is incoming for Chicago. Donald Trump's been talking about it. A lot of people have been talking about it. And now we're seeing movement. National Guard troops staging. ICE agents are heading that way. Is this the weekend when we're going to see the surge in Chicago? It might be, and we'll talk about it next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Joan Jones now with your top stories. You'll want to stay weather aware today. Stefano DiPietro telling us it'll be hot most of the day, and then a cold front pushes in later, bringing a couple of rounds of thunderstorms.
We'll have the risk of strong to severe thunderstorm. The main threats are going to be damaging wind gusts, heavier rainfall. Strongest thunderstorms could also have some hail.
Now, the first round late this afternoon, the second round into the nighttime hours. There is a very minimal chance of a tornado with these storms. Happening today at the White House, a name change for the Defense Department.
President Trump is expected to sign an executive order today renaming the Department of Defense. He wants to call it the Department of War, the name that was used until 1947. Trump says he wants to be offensive as well as defensive. But the name can't officially be changed unless Congress approves it.
ABC's Ike Ijochi. A man who was paralyzed in a crash in May is now suing the city of Nashville. Daniel Freeman lost control of his car while driving on Pinhook Road. He crashed into a guardrail. Now, his lawyers say instead of that rail collapsing on impact, it speared through his car, leaving him paralyzed from the chest down. Freeman's lawsuit alleges the city knew that guardrail didn't meet safety standards, but failed to fix it. That's the latest news. We've got your weather up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. And I got to tell you about these guys. I use them in my own home. I can honestly say they make things easy, affordable. They're always dependable. I'm a Beehive Club member, so I always get that front-of-the-line service. You should be a Beehive Club member, too. Right now, they're having their best prices of the year event, so the savings, buzzing. Here's what I love. If you refer a neighbor, both of you guys are going to get a $50 credit when you schedule maintenance on your heating unit. That's a win-win. We're almost at that time of the year where we're going to be kicking on the heat in the morning to get rid of the chill and then kicking on the AC in the afternoon. It's a weird time of year in Tennessee. make sure your heater is running the right way, the most efficient way with Busy Bee. And since it's National Grandparents' Day this month, if you're a Beehive Club member like I am, well, you can gift a free membership to your grandparents. That's awesome. That's Busy Bee's way of honoring family. I think it's pretty cool. If you need a new heater, every purchase is going to come with a free 5-year labor warranty. Huge peace of mind. So do what I did. Call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, 615-775-7833. That's 615-775-7833. Great company, great people that work with them. Find them online, busybeehvac.com.
For many of us, generators are becoming a must-have household appliance. From unpredictable weather to surprise outages, it's better to be safe than sorry. Generator Supercenter of Nashville offers fast and easy installations with 24/7 service and monitoring to all brands of generators and expert repairs done right. Our mission is to make owning a backup generator simple and easy. Visit your local store today or check us out online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
(10:37) Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Love those guys. We're going to talk about Chicago here in a second. Should I read this on air? The tweet I got? I mean, you tweeted it, so it's public.
I mean, yeah, but can you censor yourself while you do it?
I can censor myself. I'm pretty good at that. Pronunciation, there's work to be made.
True.
But censoring, I feel like I'm pretty good. Pretty good.
Go for it.
All right, so Michael Black, we've talked to him on the show before, and I actually think Mike's a good guy. I do. I don't have anything personally against him. You've heard of Remnant Church in Brentwood. There's documentaries on it, the Shamblins and what went on there. Well, Michael's the son of Gwen, but he was listening to our interview with Monty Fritz earlier, when Monty Fritz announced that he's running for governor in the state of Tennessee, which is really cool. And I'm grateful that Monty wanted to make the announcement on my show, and I'm grateful for Monty bringing his faith into the public square when it comes to how he's going to run for governor. I think it's great. I think it's authentic, and I didn't think it was forced. Michael didn't like it. He didn't like it at all. He tagged both of us. This is why I feel okay writing it. He added us. So he said, listening to Monty Fritz on Chris Hand's show, he's apparently now running for governor of Tennessee. So sick and tired of these politician a-holes trying to legislate morality. Marijuana is bad. Alcohol is bad. The effer is probably addicted to pain pills or something secretly, and that will come out someday. It always happens. Rules for thee, but not for me. Quit trying to be effing ultra-Christian preacher politician. Hate these holier-than-thou pieces of trash. And then he tagged Phil Williams from Channel 5. Is it Channel 5?
I think so, yeah.
Phil investigates. I just don't. I replied to him. I said, I think your assessment of Monty's hot garbage, but you're entitled to your opinion. Monty brought his faith into the public square. I think that's a good thing. I do, as a Christian. I think that's great. Mike, I get that you've been hurt by Christians in the past. I get it. I don't think that makes Monty holier than thou. I didn't feel that coming across. Maybe I'm in the minority. I felt an authentic person talking about why he's running and how his faith influences his life. And on the marijuana question, did everybody miss when Monty said, personally, I don't think we should be doing anything as the government if you're growing it in your own backyard and you're not bothering anybody? Did you miss that part? I don't think that's holier than thou. I don't think that's holier than thou at all. So I wanted to respond to that. If you missed the interview with Monty Fritz, you can go to YouTube, you can go to Rumble, you can scroll back a little bit in time, and you can find the whole announcement. Monty Fritz was more than welcome and open to take questions and calls from you, the voters of the great state of Tennessee. John Rose was also willing to do that. Marsha Blackburn, we have sent the invite. And anybody that's running for any political office, if they want to come on this show, you got to take questions from the voters. I can only come up with so many good questions. This audience, when we crowdsource the information, always far better than me. So that's my thoughts on Michael Black and his assessment of the interview with Monty Fritz. Mike, if you're still listening, I appreciate you listening as always. If you want to elaborate in any way, 615-737-9986. 615-737-9986. In the meantime, Chicago is this the weekend? ICE agents are being surged.
National Guard, multiple sources telling Fox News that ICE agents are set to move into Chicago for an immigration crackdown. Now, that city's Democratic leaders are expected to resist, but many locals, like our next guest, say it is a long time coming. But Sean Tunsil will join us in a moment, talk about the residents' sentiments in a moment there in Chicago. But first, to senior correspondent Mike Tobin, who's got a beat on this every day in Chicago. Mike.
And, Bill, we know that some federal staff is already at the Great Lakes Naval Base north of Chicago, and Illinois Senators Tammy Duckworth and Dick Durbin are demanding that the Secretary of the Navy provide them with some information for how that base is going to be used. And then a meeting of North Suburban leaders was told that some 300 federal agents are expected in Chicagoland.
300 federal agents on the way. National Guard is already setting up. I like it. I'm a huge fan of it. So the reports are that ICE agents will reportedly be surged to Chicago to crack down on illegal immigration in the city. This comes as Trump has been weighing sending the National Guard to the Windy City to assist law enforcement cracking down on crime. Per Fox News, we already have federal staff at the Great Lakes Naval Base. We reported on that a couple days ago as well. 300 agents are expected to arrive in Chicago shortly. The mayor of Broadview, which is a Chicago suburb, has said that a building in town would be used as a primary processing facility. That operation could last over 45 days, Fox News said. Law enforcement has reportedly been warned of protests, some of which could turn violent. Is George Soros going to have the Brick Ferry pay a visit? Maybe. You know, if you're a good protester all year long, and you pray to the Open Society Foundation, the Brick Ferry may visit your protest. They just might. Per WLS, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker has said that the expanded ICE operations are set to start on Saturday, when Mexican Independence Day celebrations are taking place. Poetry. Some areas such as Waukegan and North Chicago have canceled their celebrations. Why would they do that? Why would they? I don't know. It could be any reason, right? It could be anything. Nobody knows why. Could it be the overwhelming amount of illegal aliens? Reminds me of Governor Newsom. He went on TV the other day, and he said, ICE is going to intimidate people leaving polling places. What kind of people? He didn't say Americans. He said people. Oh, I thought that was a conspiracy theory. Back to Chicago. 2 defense officials familiar with the matter told the Washington Post that the Pentagon has approved the use of the Naval Station Great Lakes as a hub for the upcoming operation. DHS told the outlet in a statement, DHS is targeting the worst of the worst criminal illegal aliens, including murderers, rapists, gang members, pedophiles, and terrorists, or, as we like to say, the people that Chicago let out of jail. Honestly. Tom Homan was on with Fox Business the other day, and Tom Homan said, we're flooding the zone, baby. He's been saying it for a while, but it looks like this weekend is the weekend.
Let me just begin with Chicago, which is very much in the news. President is getting ready, I guess, to send the National Guard into Chicago, and you can tell us you're going to be a part of this. Your agents, your ICE agents. Chicago believes it's a sanctuary city, but I don't think that's going to stop you with respect to criminals. Can you tell us what's going to happen here, sir?
Look, it hasn't stopped us from day one. I mean, as soon as President Trump took the oath of office, the first place I went was Chicago and ran an operation there. Brandon Judd said I wasn't welcome, and I went there the very next day. And the first day of the operation, I stayed for the first day of the operation, kicks it off. If I remember correctly, we arrested 7 or 9 child sex predators who raped children. We arrested 9 members of Tren de Agua, a terrorist organization.
I mean, you could stop there. You could stop his arrest there. Why doesn't Chicago want this? Why don't Democrats want this?
Gangs. We arrested 2 illegal aliens convicted of homicide that walk in the streets. We seized pistols that had what they call switch in the pistol, which made that pistol fully automatic. That were being sold by Tren de Agua gang members to other gangs. And that was just one day.
Wait a second. Wasn't J.B. Pritzker and Mayor Brandon Johnson? It was Mayor Brandon Johnson. That's right. Just the other day. He said the reason that Chicago has a gun problem is because they're being trafficked in from red states. What Tom Homan says is that it's Tren de Agua illegal alien gang member terrorists who are selling those illegal firearms in Chicago. It's a bit confusing. Who do you believe? Who do you believe? I think this is going to be a good thing for Chicago at the end of the day. President Trump was talking about this the other day inside the Oval Office with the president of Poland. What was his name? Karl Nawacki? Naraki? I think that was it. He's like, Chicago's a mess. What are you guys talking about?
To say it in front of the president of Poland, 11 people were killed, 72 people were shot. Last week, 7 people were killed in Chicago, a place which is probably your number one place. I hate to say it, and we got to keep it safe. But 7 people were killed. The week before that, 5 people were killed, and 21 people were shot. This is in 3 weeks. So in 3 weeks, they lost almost 35 people were killed. It could have been stopped.
It should be stopped. Now, I understand this operation is going to be focusing on illegal aliens and crime, but the mere presence alone is going to have to make Chicago a safer city, right? I would imagine that this weekend upcoming in Chicago, because of the increased presence of ICE, of DHS, of the National Guard, it's going to be a lot less deadly than it was Labor Day weekend, no? I feel like it has to be. But this is what we're seeing. And the Democrats are arguing against fighting this crime. Now, again, the president can't send the National Guard in there to fight Chicago's crime problem. I get that. And I hope they find a workaround. Because the Democratic leadership in Chicago and in Illinois, they're not doing a damn thing about it. I mean, you even have top thought leaders in the Democrat Party going on TV this week practically begging the Democrats to accept Donald Trump's help on crime. This was David Axelrod. You know David Axelrod. It's an Obama guy. And his advice to the Democrats, to J.B. Pritzker, work with Trump because this is a losing issue for the Democrats.
I would be careful about playing 28 politics on this issue because the right answer is we'll take all the help we can get as long as it's appropriate help, as long as it's stuff that will really help. I mean, these National Guardsmen aren't even trained to do that work. They're not authorized to do that work. So, send us the resources that we need. We want to work with you. If there are if there are people doing violent crimes here who are illegal immigrants, we want them out of our city. We'll work with you on that. I think that's the appropriate position to take.
Yeah, duh. You had 54 people shot over Labor Day weekend, 8 killed. The appropriate response is, please, sir, yes, we'll give us something. We need something. You have to admit your own faults in order to fix them. But J.B. Pritzker won't admit his own faults in Chicago. Mayor Brandon Johnson won't admit their own faults in Chicago. They blame Trump. They say crime is down. They say that Trump is lying. We've seen this time and time and time again. Mayor Brandon Johnson campaigned on the crime in the city of Chicago. Now it's the orange man's fault. Bill O'Reilly was on with Chris Cuomo the other night, and Stephen A. Smith, actually. And interesting panel. But he was talking about the governor of Illinois and how he's the worst governor in America. He's of the opinion, Bill O'Reilly, that Pritzker is even worse than Gavin Newsom.
Pritzker is the worst governor in the country. He's worse than Newsom, and it's hard to believe that you could be worse than Newsom. And the reason is that Pritzker doesn't tell the truth. All right? I hate the word lies, but he misleads his own people in Illinois and the nation. So from 2014 to last year, 10 years, there have been more than 7,000 human beings murdered in the city of Chicago.
That's insane.
And Pritzker will tell it's going down. It doesn't help the people in the cemetery, and it isn't going down significantly based on the Labor Day weekend stats that were horrific. So Pritzker doesn't want to solve the problem. It's too messy because the murders are taking place in the black neighborhoods. 80% of the 7,000 fatalities are African American. And they're being gunned down by drug operations, young people in the streets running wild, okay? Not only are there people being murdered on the South Side, they can't come out of their homes. They can't testify against anybody. It's like the cartels in Mexico. You testify or inform on one of these gang members, you're dead and so is your family. Okay? This is a terror situation. And that is the way that Trump is going to get in. Because the posse comitatus law, which is a well-needed law in this country, forbids federal troops from local policing.
So that's the way in. Treat them like terrorists. I think there's a lot of ground to stand on there. And I hope President Trump heard that. And I hope Tom Homan heard that. And I hope that that's the angle that they take. They got to do something. Because this repeating the same thing over and over and over again, it's not cutting it. 1052 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here, and I got to tell you, Bobcat Dirt Days, they're going to be here before we know it. It's happening Friday, September 12th, 10 to 3 at 7 Bobcat locations across Middle Tennessee, as well as one in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and we're coming out in full force. Ken Weaver's going to be at a Bobcat location. Joan Jones is going to be at a Bobcat location. Chad Benson and myself, we're going to be at Bobcat locations. They're going to have some great attendance prizes all day. 10% off all in-stock genuine Bobcat parts. 25% off first-time machine rentals booked by September 30th. And you don't want to miss your chance to win one of 2 Bobcat commercial mowers they're giving away just by stopping by on Friday the 12th to enter. In addition, operator skills competitions are going to be taking place. Plenty of prize drawings throughout the day. Plus, they'll have snacks and drinks and food for you guys, the pros. So stop by on your work break or over your lunch hour. I'm going to be at the Laverne location broadcasting my show live from 9 to noon, and I want to see you there. Stop by, say hello, or you can stop by any Bobcat location to win prizes and learn more about Bobcat equipment. One tough animal. Find out more. BobcatGDN.com. So we got Gavin Newsom out here doing his absolute best to try and intimidate MAGA.
I'm sorry. I know some people's sensibilities. I respect and appreciate that. But right now, with all due respect, we're walking down a damn different path. We're fighting fire with fire, and we're going to punch these in the mouth.
You know, it's funny. I can't think of one person that's actually intimidated by Gavin Newsom. Okay. I stand corrected. That Chinese kid looked pretty intimidated.
Got delays, drivers. It's unknown why. Could be some road work. Anyway, it is 440 westbound right there at the I-24 exit 7. Then a crash reported on I-24 westbound and Whites Creek. Big immigration enforcement raid in Georgia. People making cars rounded up. I'll tell you about that and more at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Ken Weaver in the newsroom. 10:57, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the war on Christianity coming up. One of the best Zoomers in the entire state, Hannah Faulkner, is going to be joining us. I've said to her quite a few times. I said, you're going to be a senator at some point in this state. She's just 18, and she is one of the smartest people that you're going to hear from. We're going to talk about the war on Christianity. There was a deadly attack that was foiled yesterday in Italy. 40,000 Christians gathering. And this should be a major story everywhere. This should be a lead, even in American mainstream media, but it's not. It's not. This happened at in Viterbo. Attempt at Machina di Santa Rosa. 2 Turks arrested. Loaded machine gun found. There was an alert triggered after automatic weapons were found in the afternoon while the foreigners were staying in a B&B, a bed and breakfast. A few meters from the monastery churchyard, they got raided, and they found open windows overlooking the festival and loaded automatic firearms. These guys were going to go for the high score. There's no other way to slice it. They were going to go for the high score. But we see this war on Christianity. We see it left and right in today's culture, and we're going to talk to Hannah Faulkner about it. There's another thing I wanted to talk about. This kind of runs parallel to the war on Christianity. Have you seen what happened in Dearborn Heights, Michigan? Did you see this? I'm going to put it on the screen for you. In Dearborn Heights, Michigan, they are now the first police department in the United States of America where their police patch features Arabic. Huh. That's weird. What law are they going by? Just like American law or Sharia law? I mean, that is a question that we need to ask. That's a question we need to ask. Dearborn Heights Police Department, nation's first ever uniform with a patch in Arabic. This is what happens with unfettered migration into the country. People aren't assimilating. They're replacing. We're going to talk about it on the way. We got a lot to talk about. If you want to join the show, 615-737-9986. You can watch us on YouTube. You can watch us on Rumble. Hit like, hit subscribe, and share the show with your friends. We appreciate it when you do so. Helping us grow the digital footprint of the radio station is a big deal, and we appreciate you assisting. Right now, time for the headlines with Ken Weaver on Super Talk.
Eleven o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We're under a level 2 out of 5 risk for severe weather here in Middle Tennessee starting around 2 o'clock today. Not good news for the start of the Nashville Fair, and you folks headed out to high school football games tonight might want to be prepared. Here's Stefano DiPietro with more.
The main threat overall going to be damaging wind gusts with any thunderstorm that ends up developing. But compared to yesterday, the severe threat is a little bit more elevated. Much more of the mid-state, 2 out of 5 on that threat scale. Far northwest Middle Tennessee and parts of southwestern Kentucky, it's a little lower end threat, but of course not one to be ignored for us.
And he says the tornado threat is low. Got more on the forecast in 4 minutes. Breaking news about immigration enforcement. 475 workers at a Hyundai plant in Georgia, about 25 miles west of Savannah, have been arrested. Homeland Security, assisted by other law enforcement agencies, many of those arrested believed to be from South Korea. Hyundai says it's cooperating with the investigation, stating it is committed to abiding by all labor and immigration regulations. South Korea's foreign ministry has expressed, quote, concern and regret over the arrests. And the Trump administration's decision to move U.S. Space Command from Colorado Springs to Huntsville, Alabama, could benefit Tennessee. Huntsville's a 20-minute drive from Tennessee's southern border. Michael Aiken with the Tennessee Tech University says the move could bring 1,600 jobs to the volunteer state in aerospace-related industries. Tennessee Tech's aerospace program expected to get a boost. That's NASA's astronaut Butch Wilmore's alma mater. And you'll notice armed security guards at several metro parks starting today. Here's Channel 4's Lydia Fielder.
This is to enhance safety and security. The new security guards are highly trained, we're told, in active threat responses and will work with Metro Parks Police and MMPD. They'll cover places like Centennial Sportsplex, Hamilton Creek Marina, permitting office and community centers, and Davidson County as well. This new security is being paid for by the Parks Department's operating budget.
Yeah, in May, Metro Parks set aside $2.4 million to hire these contract security officers. Drug Enforcement Agency announcing the end of a 7-week operation at the field office that covers Kentucky, Tennessee, and West Virginia. 51 members of the Sinaloa cartel were arrested, 21 of them, that is, in Tennessee. Here's WAVE Louisville reporter Logan Perrone.
Mexican drug cartels, like Sinaloa, are responsible for the vast majority of drugs that end up in the states. DEA officials also took 133 guns and close to 9,000 counterfeit pills off the streets. Officials estimate roughly half of all counterfeit pills contain a lethal amount of fentanyl.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
President Trump is not proposing an increase in student visas for Chinese students. The $600K references 2 years' worth of visas, which is simply a continuation of existing policy.
I don't want 300,000 people a year from China in our country. I just don't.
No.
Because I think they spy.
Yeah.
And I think that they're stealing
I don't even
our
think
intellectual
it's not
property.
even that we think they do.
They do.
They do it. Well, they got busted operating secret police stations in our country.
Yeah.
They got busted operating a secret biolab in California.
And why are they? That's right. I remember that.
They rode a spy balloon over our entire country. There should be.
And Joe Biden let it happen.
There should be no reason why we're doing this. $11:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Hanging in studio with, is it offensive to say Zoomer? Is that it? All right, with one of my favorite Zoomers. It is offensive if you call a boomer a boomer.
Really?
They get upset.
Wow. I can see that, yeah.
But I say Zoomers a lot because Gen Z, you guys are the Zoomers. You're one of my favorite Zoomers. Hannah Faulkner is in studio. What's up, Hannah?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's great to be here, as always. If you're just talking how I'm hanging out with you this morning in Nashville, and our or not my daughter, my sister and your daughter will be hanging out later today at a pregnancy center.
It's the craziest thing how the Lord works sometimes, where like me and you met and we crossed paths at different turning point events and stuff like that. And then years down the road, my daughter and your youngest sister end up becoming friends in the theater program.
Yeah, I think your radio show here at 99.7 was the second radio show that I had ever been on in 2022, late 2022. So
listen,
crazy wild.
you gotta find talented young people, and you're one of them. Yeah, so they're down there at a pregnancy center today. Volunteering.
10, 11 years old.
I know, isn't
if
that
they
awesome?
can do it, you guys listening, boomers, Gen Zers, Gen Xers, whatever generation you are, get out there, volunteer.
Yes.
It's going to make a difference.
Put your faith into action. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. It's really easy to say, well, I'm pro-life. Okay. Cool. Like that, you said it. Like, that's great. And I appreciate that. Like, say it loudly. But then what?
Yeah. I think we have a really big problem in the church right now with people, they're like, oh, I go to church like 5 days a week. I go to all these different churches and church services. And it's like, that's awesome. But now we've got to get out of the four walls and we've got to get out into the community. Like, when was the last time you went to a college campus as a Gen X or a boomer and you talk to these college students, you have these hard conversations? I was at MTSU last Tuesday and we were doing Man on the Street, actually with Bo Diddle's editor, Gabe, awesome guy.
Gabe's one of the best.
Yeah, one of the best editors and just a solid guy as a whole. But we were interviewing some people and we talked to this one guy. He said he's out there sharing the gospel. And then I asked him, I said, what do you believe are some of the greatest issues facing our nation? And he said the lack of young people getting into the Word of God and then the presidency. And I said, can you what were you alluding to there? Like, what are you talking about, the presidency? And he said, well, I think our country would be better off if Kamala Harris was in office. And I'm like, well, wait a second. What gospel are you sharing? Turned out he ended up being a Trump supporter, just had no idea what Kamala Harris supported and what President Trump is doing. So there's such a lack of education among our generation. I think there's a lot of people waking up.
It's crazy that the lack of education is happening at a college like MTSU.
I'm also just not shocked because it's a state university and they're extremely woke. But you know what? That's where the older generations come in handy and they can take their wisdom. And, I say that lightly, though, because I feel that I meet more feminist like boomers than Gen Zers, which is kind of weird to me. Like I meet, you have this like idea in your head that when you meet older people or your elders, they'll be very wise and smart and educated about the history because they lived throughout these time periods that we're talking about. But a lot of times they'll identify with these movements because they really just didn't dig deeper. They didn't ask questions. They didn't push back against their narrative. So it's like, every generation has their own problems.
Or they look back at it and they still see the same iteration that they fell in love with and they don't realize that it's evolved. Like the early forms of feminism, the first wave, it didn't seem as bad as we got. Yet here we are.
It's interesting because like I part of me says that and then I dig deeper and I start looking at like the Seneca Falls Convention and you look at some of the movements and they actually had to pay a lot of the suffragettes to get out there and advocate for the 19th Amendment. And so you're like, well, wait a second. Why were they
I thought paid protesting was just a 2025
paid
thing.
Protesters is not new. The Democratic Party has been doing this for a very long time. And it's interesting. And once you start pulling back the layers, it's like, what is the why behind this movement? I think that's what we got to get down to the bottom of.
It's always commies and Marxists, and they always have a 100-year plan.
That's right.
We're dealing in 4 and 2 year cycles. In the meantime, the war on Christianity does continue. We saw a terrorist event thwarted by the grace of God in Viterbo, Italy. 2 Turkish guys had a fully automatic gun. They were going to open fire from an open window on a crowd of 40,000. These guys were going for the high score. And again, shout out to the Italian authorities for thwarting that blessing, a miracle. But we're seeing this left and right. We're seeing this in our own country. What does the war on Christianity look like to you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like every day I wake up and there's a slew of headlines across not just America, but across the world. And only some of the stories get talked about. I mean, there's hundreds upon hundreds of stories every single day across the world of attacks on Christians. I mean, we're seeing what's happening in Syria, Nigeria, Christians being massacred by jihadists, by Islamic terrorists. And I don't know if those 2 Turkish men were a part of Islam. I don't know, but I do know that they were attempting a terror attack because anytime you go out and try to kill innocent civilians, that is a terror attack. And so the war on Christianity, I mean, nothing is new under the sun, as it says in Ecclesiastes. So we've been seeing this throughout history, an attack on biblical principles, an attack on Christians. It's nothing new, but I definitely think that it has heightened tremendously within the last couple of years. And I will say, I think it's because here in the West, here specifically in America, the United States of America, we have normalized and so become so tolerant of all of these different religions and say, oh, well, there are nice Muslims out there. There are nice people a part of these different groups that we need to include in our country. And I know we're going to get into this later, but our politicians, we have so many cowardice, so-called Christian politicians who won't acknowledge our roots as a nation, who won't acknowledge the threat that's against Christians right now. And so we're going to continue to fight this until our politicians, until pastors start waking up and saying, like, there is a threat, there is a war on Christianity right now happening across the world. And there's no more about being tolerant of sin. There's no more that we should be tolerating these very heinous crimes and evil acts against Christians ultimately. So it's so far and wide. There's article after article we could talk about, but it's evil. I mean, we don't fight against flesh and blood. This is a spiritual battle that we're in.
So when you talk about the different religions, the different cultures coming in, we always were told that the key part of coming into America was assimilation. Like, you have to assimilate to American culture. But it seems like that's been thrown out the window. Dearborn Heights Police Department in Michigan, I lived outside of Detroit. That's where my oldest daughter was born. And the locals would refer to it as Dearbornistan. And this is over 10 years ago. Dearborn Heights now has the nation's first ever police uniform patch with Arabic language written on it. That doesn't look like assimilation to me.
Yeah, no, they're not coming here to assimilate. They're not. And some people listening to this right now may think that what I'm about to say is radical. They may think that what we're talking about right now is extremely radical or you're taking it too far. But we have been, again, so tolerant for too long that you look at the Quran, you look at Sharia law, what does it say? And these jihadists, they're just actually following Sharia law. They're just actually following what the Quran tells them to do. The other ones that are the peaceful Muslims, they're not actually true Muslims. And that's going to offend a lot of people listening to this right now. But that's just the basic facts. You look at the Quran, you look at Sharia law, this is what it's telling us. To go kill the non-Muslims, to go kill those that are not of their religion. And this is more than just a religion. I would say it's even a political ideology. It's almost like radical communism. Like you look at communism and Sharia law, and they're almost very similar in the way that they try to attack and control a civilization. So they're not coming here to assimilate. They're coming here to take over, and that's why we're seeing a full-blown Islamic takeover in our country right now.
So I mean, how do we fight back against that?
Man, I mean,
that's the $1 million question.
No, I have ideas, and I know what's going to solve this, and that's we have to stop letting them come over. We have to stop letting them come over the border. We cannot. Their ideas. Islam is antithetical to our founding documents. We look at the Declaration of Independence, our Constitution, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. No part of Sharia law, no part of the Quran relates to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So we're going to have to put I know President Trump did this in his first administration, a Muslim
travel ban.
Yeah, travel ban. So I think that's going to have to happen again under this administration in his second term, or I don't think we're going to stop this.
Yeah, I mean, he has signed executive orders on travel bans from countries with high terror suspects. But yeah, no, I agree. It's a tough situation, but we're seeing it from all angles. You're seeing it from the Muslim angle with what's happening in Michigan and what's happening in Minneapolis, Somalia. It's completely transformed. But then you're also seeing it on the other side of the spectrum with the far leftists, like what we saw in Minneapolis with the Annunciation Church shooting. And we're learning more about this transgender individual, Robin Westman. They're now saying that he had a furry ex-girlfriend. A furry? Yeah. What is a furry?
You tell me. Like some person who thinks that they're a cat or a dog, I guess.
How does this ideology take root? And a lot of time we blame it on the younger generations. But then I meet people like you, and I'm like, we can't paint with a broad brush. But why does it seem like this kind of just insane ideology really does take more root with the youth?
Well, it's the parents' fault. I mean, 100%. You look at the parents. We've been getting some little scripts here and there from the parents who are defending their son. And you start pulling back the layers on all of these different cases, and these kids are coming from extremely broken homes where the dad was not being a strong father in that kid's life, and the mom was not guiding that kid the way it was supposed to be. I mean, the fact that he even wrote in his manifesto that he wished that he wasn't trans, that he was radicalized. He wished that he didn't radicalize himself and brainwash himself with all of gender ideology and the LGBTQ movement and the idea that you can change your sex. So these kids, it's going against their biological, their inherent nature to try and attempt to become something that you're not. You know, it's interesting that you hear from the LGBTQ movement of we just want to be accepted for who we are, right? They just say all the time, I just want you to accept me for who I am. And it's like, no, I already accepted you for who God created you to be. You haven't accepted yourself for who God created you to be. So as it pertains to stopping that, I mean, we have to really we have to have a cultural shift. You know, I think legislation is very important, but we can have a great president in the White House. We can have solid legislation being put in place, but if the hearts and the minds of the American people don't shift, we're not going to see a change in the United States of America. But again, I go back to the parents. Like, it's not necessarily Gen Zers and Alpha. I guess Gen Alpha is the next one after that.
Yeah, that's my kids.
You know, I'm not saying for them to have victimhood mentality, because we already have enough of that in our country. We already have enough of people saying, well, feel sorry for me because it's not my fault that I'm in this place. No, we're going to have to take ownership. Yeah, we're going to have to take ownership for what the previous generations have allowed to happen in this country. But parents, I mean, I always tell parents, like, you've got to take a stand. Like, I talk to parents on a daily basis. They're like, oh, my kid just doesn't want to go to church. Oh, my kid just doesn't want to go to a political event. It's like, your kid is 14 years old. You're the parent.
Yes.
Like, if I tried telling my dad that when I was 14, it would not have been
That's not
nice
gonna fly with Trey.
fun.
It's not.
Right. So it's like, man, parents have to be parents. They've given up their role as the parent to the government. All of this is very strategic. It's not a coincidence, the things that we're fighting. And radical ideologies always lead to radical behavior.
Well,
and that's why we're seeing this.
And it's interesting you point out how the trans identifying shooter, you know, in his manifesto said how he regretted it.
Yeah.
Because we see study after study that shows that these kids grow out of it. But the thing that makes it tough is the parents affirming it and the parents getting them on this medicine. Chloe Cole is another example of that, where I think her parents were duped by the medical industrial complex. But if the parents had stood strong, Chloe would still have breasts and a normal voice.
Yeah, I know it's heartbreaking to see that there. And she respects her parents so much. I respect Chloe for honoring her parents in that area. You will never hear her blame her parents. She'll always blame the medical industry.
I think that they were as much victims as she was.
Well, I for me, it's like I understand that they were duped, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out, as you're listening to a doctor tell you, would you rather have a dead daughter or a living son? So this is like parents, like, you have to use your critical thinking skills that you should have learned when you were like 5, 6, 7, 8 years old as you were growing up throughout elementary and middle and high school. So it's like, I understand that maybe she was duped by the medical industry, but it is also their fault. They are the parents. You are called to protect your children. What role as a parent are you to play if you don't protect them and you're leading them down this path of destruction? It's like if your kid is going off the wrong path and they're living with their boyfriend or their girlfriend at 16, 17 years old, like, you're going to say, like, no, you can't do that. You're my kid. Like, I'm not going to let you go down this path of destruction. That's going to, you're going to regret these decisions. So, yeah, no, I do think that it's the parents' fault, but I also do believe there's a component of the medical industry, of course, the so-called experts lying to them about this ideology.
It's always the experts. We're talking with Hannah Faulkner. She is one of the most intelligent Zoomers that you can find. Where can we find you online?
My website's cultureof1776.com. My book, Last Chance to Save Our Republic. They can get it on any online bookstore. And then my Instagram, Hannah Faulkner 1776.
Do you have a little bit more time to hang out with us? Because I want to get your thoughts. I want to get your thoughts on what Tim Kaine said yesterday during the RFK hearing. We'll do that when we get back. It's 11:21. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
What time is it?
11:21.
Yeah, that's perfect.
J.D. Vance descended upon Union Station in Washington, D.C. today, and he was met with some unhinged leftist protesters.
You fucking Nazis!
Now, there's a couple ways that you can deal with radical leftist lunatics, but I want to highlight the method that JD chose today. This method is, of course, the all-encompassing point and laugh.
This is the guy who thinks people don't deserve law and order in their own community.
Like and subscribe for more tips on how to deal with unhinged leftist lunatics out in the wild. This has been brought to you by our friends at Zero Res Nashville. If you need your carpets cleaned, go to ZeroResNashville.com. Are Democrats waking up to the fact that 80-20 issues aren't exactly a good look to defend?
To the average person, the murder rate's about life and death. You don't brag about a rising murder rate. And the Democrats are, I agree with you, Mika, they're falling into the trap of defending what's indefensible.
It's a trap.
It's a trap.
Yes, it's a trap. I mean, if it's not a winner politically.
I mean, I think she's right. It is a bit of a trap to root for these 80-20 issues, men and women's sports, boys in girls' locker rooms.
No, that's not 80-20. That's 97-3.
Fair. That's 97-3. But we also have illegal alien gang member MS-13 members, Kilmar. Democrats defend him. We've seen Democrats rooting for a recession. All these 80-20 issues, and this is what made the Democrats realize it? How long until they forget again? Few hours, tops.
All right, drivers, we've got crashes in the way over by Vanderbilt, 21st Avenue south of Blakemore Avenue, Wedgwood Avenue. A crash in Whites Creek, that's on 24 westbound past Old Hickory Boulevard North. And in South Nashville, construction work slowing things down, 440 westbound there at the 24 exit. And in West Nashville, we got a crash, 40 eastbound at I-440. Middle Tennessee under threat of severe weather. We'll go over all of that for you. And that immigration raid at a Hyundai battery plant in Georgia at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Ken Weaver in the newsroom. It's 11:26, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. A moment ago, I said I was with the most intelligent Zoomer, Hannah Faulkner. People on the YouTube chat said that's not as much of a compliment as I thought it was.
I've never heard the word Zoomer, so
You've never
like,
heard
wow,
the word Zoomer?
I feel that I've never heard of it.
Really?
Yeah.
You're chronically
guess I'm
online as
not-
much as I am.
Yeah, I guess I'm not as,
Maybe it's just what millennials call you guys.
yeah, I genuinely, is it like on TikTok or something? Is this
I don't know. I don't spend too much time on TikTok.
Yeah, I don't either,
I like
so I'm like, that's
post
why-
and then I get out of there.
Yeah, no, TikTok is it's filled with so much degeneracy and
Yeah, I don't.
half naked images and videos.
I don't watch the TikToks. I just post and then I leave.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Hannah Faulkner's in here. Hannah, what do you do?
Oh, man. Try to speak some light, shed some light on this crazy world that we're living in. So many crazy issues. I don't even know what you'd, I guess, title me, like a political commentary maybe.
Political commentator.
Yeah.
You host your own show on Rumble.
Do my own show. I do a live show every day on a network, and Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Central. I wrote a book, Last Chance to Save Our Republic, travel, speak here and there, do some on college campuses when I can, man on the street. Really wherever the Lord calls me to do, and just be able to shine some light on these wild issues. Every day I feel like it just gets crazier.
You embrace the rights that were given to you by your creator.
That's right. Amen.
We have Democrat politicians yesterday, Tim Kaine in particular. This guy was a heartbeat away from the presidency, if had Hillary won. And he said yesterday, I don't even know how to put it into words. I'll just let you listen to Tim Kaine, what he said.
The notion that rights don't come from laws and don't come from the government, but come from the creator, that's what the Iranian government believes. It's a theocratic regime that bases its rule on Shia law and targets Sunnis, Baha'is, Jews, Christians, and other religious minorities. And they do it because they believe that they understand what natural rights are from their creator. So the statement that our rights do not come from our laws or our governments is extremely troubling.
I'm just going to get out of the way and let you go off, Hannah, because I can see you steaming over there.
That clip definitely fires me up. Obviously, this is someone who is supposed to be a leader over this country. He doesn't even know what our founding fathers intended this nation to be. And I think that's the problem, is that we've allowed so many people to be able to run for office, that we've got Tim Kaine in office saying that our rights don't come from God, they come from the government, they come from him. We've got Mamdani, almost the first Muslim mayor. He's going to be elected. Unfortunately, I don't see any other way unless the others step down. But we've got almost first Muslim mayor in New York City. He's a communist. He puts a hashtag on his Twitter pages. We've got a Muslim. What is that guy?
Omar Fateh in Minneapolis.
Minneapolis.
He's probably going to win mayor there too.
Yeah, all over the country, these Muslims. We've got Ilhan Omar. You've got AOC. Obviously, she's not a Muslim, but they still do not hold their allegiance. Yeah, they do not hold their allegiance to the United States of America and our founding documents and what this country was intended to be, a constitutional republic founded upon biblical principles. And I think it's interesting that this representative over our government, over our country, supposed to represent we the people, is comparing the Declaration of Independence to Sharia law. The Bible to Sharia law. And it's such a stark contrast. He mentioned that what we are standing on as Christians or as conservatives is almost the same thing as what they're doing in a theocratic run society of Islam in like Iran or Saudi Arabia. Both are theocracies run by Islam. And obviously America is not a theocracy. We left a monarchy in England to get away from a state-sponsored religion, which is very close to a theocracy. That is a theocracy in essence. To get away, we got away from that to come to a nation where we could have the freedom to practice what we believe in freely without fear of persecution or getting our head chopped off because we're not listening to what the government is saying. So it's very interesting to see this, and I think it's, again, very dangerous. This is the line that you're going to be towing when you just allow anyone and everyone to be elected to your government, to be elected to represent the American people. And that's why our founding fathers, the first 13 original colonies, you had to be a Christian, someone who believed in the founding documents of this country. The first 13 colonies, nobody's talking about that. And if he wants to say, well, this country isn't a nation founded upon biblical principles, 34%, our founding fathers quoted the Bible by 34%, more than any other book, by 34%. So this is a nation founded upon biblical principles, and our rights do come from God. And I would say that even Muslims don't believe that their rights are coming from Allah. They come from man. They are man-written laws.
Hannah Faulkner, culture of1776.com. If you have a young person in your life and they're like, I don't want to hear it from you anymore, and you need a young person to speak to them, kids, grandkids, and the like, Hannah, where can we find you so that way we can share your voice?
The Hannah Faulkner Show on Rumble, LFA TV, live 6 p.m. Central, every single day, Monday through Friday is where I do my live show. My website, culture of1776.com, has all the links. And then my book, of course, is on Amazon and other bookstores.
Hannah, I appreciate the time today. Thank you for coming through.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's 11:31, Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. Perfect.
All right.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And Middle Tennessee's under threat of severe weather. Channel 4's Dan Thomas says the timeline is 2 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Gusty wind is definitely going to be the main concern. We'll have heavy downpours. There could be some hail with a couple of these storms, and it could even be an isolated tornado toward the evening drive.
All right, so everybody heading out to those high school football games, going to have to keep it right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We'll let you know what's up. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Here in Middle Tennessee, some students at local high schools plan a walkout around noon today as part of a nationwide protest in the wake of the deadly school shooting in Minneapolis. Channel 4's Joylyn Bukovac.
Student walkouts are being organized by Students Demand Action. Organizers say it highlights the urgency for safety protocols after more than 90 incidents of gunfire on school grounds already this year. And while students push for new laws, schools here are adapting to a new requirement: teaching gun safety each year. Lessons will vary by grade, but even the youngest students will be taught about firearms.
Yeah, Wilson County's rolling out videos for students, but other districts, including Metro, Williamson, and Rutherford, still deciding how they're going to teach gun safety. Some 450 workers at a Hyundai battery plant in Georgia now under arrest in ICE custody. Federal officials say the raid was the result of the largest, the raid was the largest in ICE history, a result of a months-long investigation. Luke Barr.
The special agent in charge didn't want to speculate as to if there would be criminal charges or not. They're still investigating this, but that could be the next step. There's a variety of methods that immigration authorities could use, but it remains to be seen what's next.
Yeah, so most of these 450 workers arrested there in Georgia were Korean nationals, and that's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, it's Chris Hand here for my friends at United Structural Systems. You know them as USS. And if you have waterproofing issues, you know you should have called them weeks ago because we got more rain on the way. And it's easy to ignore the waterproofing issues. I know it. We've all been there. It's just a little water in the crawl space. It'll dry up. It's just a little water in the basement. It'll go away. And it does. But when the rain comes back, so do the problems. And the small problems aren't staying small. That water is going to lead to mold in your house. You don't want that for your family. It's going to lead to wood rot, which leads to foundation issues, which leads to a much bigger price tag. Don't do that. Do what 30,000 other homeowners have done in Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky. Call USS today. They're going to send an expert to your house, not a sales guy. They're going to send somebody worried about the waterproofing, not their quota. That's the difference. That's how they've stayed in the game for 30 years. Whether it's foundation repair or waterproofing, USS is the company that you can trust, and they'll stand behind their work with warranties that last. United Structural Systems, keeping homes dry and stable. If you see the signs, don't wait. Call USS today. 615-488-7855. 615-488-7855. USSTN.com. 11:39, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. We're gearing up for the round with the Lightning. Did you know that? Mason, did you know?
The what?
The round of Lightning.
The round of Lightning.
That's what we're doing.
Also known as
the Lightning Round.
It's the Lightning Round with Chris Hand.
I love the music more every day.
A little Trump dance that you're doing.
I love it. It makes me happy. Fills me with joy.
It's perfect.
We're inching closer and closer to the weekend. And Ken, I'm going to take some work off your plate. You ready for this? I'm going to make Ken's life easy.
Cool.
For this afternoon during Murphy Show. They do nincompoops in the news.
You found one for him?
I got the best one ever.
Best one for him.
If you listen all day, as some of you do, you may have heard us discussing this on Nashville's Morning News. And I try not to repeat stories in the Lightning Round. But sometimes you got to do it.
Can't help it.
You got to do it.
Story's too good.
Is Ken paying attention? Or is he working? Sometimes Ken does a lot of work.
He's working a lot right now.
He's working hard. Anyway, just let him know this is a good one. I'm going to read you part of the headline.
Okay.
And then I want you to react. And then I'm going to read you the rest of the headline.
All right.
Surgeon has legs chopped off for $600,000 insurance scam payday. Pretty messed up, right?
Yeah, pretty messed up.
Okay. Do you want me to read you the rest of the headline?
I think I need it.
Surgeon obsessed with amputation porn has legs chopped off for $600,000 payday.
You know, that changes things.
It does change things, doesn't it?
Just a little bit.
You want to know what his name is? You want to know?
I don't know if I want to know.
I kid you not. This is his real name. I couldn't make this up if I tried. His name is Dr. Hopper.
First name?
Neil.
He's a Neil and a Hopper.
I didn't even put that together.
Well, he can't do it now.
All he can do is Neil now.
Missing some legs.
Dr. Neil Hopper. If you're watching this on the YouTube stream, I'm putting a picture up of the doc. He looks very happy. He looks very happy with his amputations. You notice that? Overjoyed, maybe. Some would say overjoyed. A surgeon with a sexual obsession for cutting off parts of his body and his own legs amputated as part of an insurance scam, officials in the UK have said. I didn't even put it together. I was too focused on Hopper being his last name, but Neil being his first name is even better. That's all he can do now. Dr. Neil Hopper, 49, submerged his own legs for 8 hours in a combination of ice and dry ice, so that way they would have to be removed, while falsely claiming to his insurers that he had sepsis, prosecutor Nicholas Lee said. He admitted to 2 counts of insurance fraud, 1 for each leg. What? And three counts of possessing extreme pornography at Truro Crown Court, Southwest England, BBC News reported. This is a real news story. I'm just doing the news, boys.
Of course it comes from England, though.
Of course it does.
That's what happens when you restrict their Facebook access.
You post something mean on Facebook, you're going right to jail. Cutting off your own legs, that's fine. The vascular surgeon has carried out hundreds of amputation operations on patients while working for the state-run National Health Service before having his own legs removed. Hopper's scam was motivated by his sexual interest in amputation. How? Ugh.
I don't want to know how that's sexual.
I don't know. People get weird.
Obviously.
People get weird. This guy loves a good nub. I don't know why.
I hate that.
What?
Loves a good nub.
He does. I don't know.
Obviously.
His motivations were a combination of obsession with removing body parts and a sexual interest in doing so, he told the judge. Like his words. His words. It aroused him. If you ever want a reason to watch us on YouTube or Rumble, my facial expressions through this story is a good enough reason.
Oh, yeah.
It seems to have been oh my gosh, why did they word it this way? I don't know why they worded it this way. I wouldn't have worded it this way. I would have been much more professional. It seems to have been a long-standing ambition of his. Adding that Hopper also enjoyed the media attention after his operation led to multiple TV appearances. Investigations into Eunuch Maker, an extreme body mutilation pornography website where Hopper had purchased videos, led to the once respected doctor's arrest in March. Hopper had suffered from body dysphoria since childhood and saw his feet as an unwelcome extra and a persistent, never-ending discomfort, said defense attorney Andrew Langdon. His extreme pornography offenses were connected to videos he purchased online, amputation porn, none of which included children, the judge was told. Marius Gustafsson, who ran the Eunuch Maker website, was sentenced to 22 years in prison at the Old Bailey in London for leading an extreme body modification ring. Hopper's fraudulent claims from 2 insurance firms, one for each leg, totaled more than £466,000, $625,000, which he spent on an RV, home improvements, and a hot tub, along with gifts to his wife and other building works, Lee said. The doctor went back to work less than 6 months after having his legs removed and being fitted with prosthetics. Hopper said he bitterly regrets his dishonesty over the reason for the amputation, but he has no regrets when it comes to the amputation itself.
I know they said lawsuits were expensive, but I didn't know it cost you an arm and a leg.
Oh, this is terrible. Just a leg.
Just a leg.
Both.
Well, 2 legs.
Both. Following the fraudulent operation, Hopper had been totally overwhelmed by support from friends and family, which made it even more difficult to tell them what had really happened.
How do you think he feels about his shortcomings?
I don't know. It's a weird story.
What a weird dude.
I don't know how you follow up. Where do we go next in the lightning round? Pretty dark. Felt the same way yesterday after Canada's story.
Yeah. It leaves you a little...
Well, because you say, like, the whole thing about the lightning round is, like, these are stories that couldn't fill a whole segment. Yes, we could, actually. We could fill a whole segment with Dr. Neil Hopper. This is a good nincompoop for the news. I'm just letting you know.
That is great.
It's perfect.
Moron.
It's a maroon, if you will.
Yeah.
All right. Should we move on?
I think we need to.
All right, let's move on. Got another story for you here in the lightning round. You were quick on the lightning that time.
I was anticipatory.
It was anticipatory lightning?
Anticipatory lightning.
He's lightning fast.
Let's go. Ken's back in the mix. Did you see the nincompoop in the news story?
Yes.
Dude, that's a winner for you.
I know. I just hope Murphy and Brother Jackson haven't seen it.
Well, we haven't said Murphy's name more than 3 times this broadcast, so I don't think he's listening.
Okay.
Yeah, I think one more and he appears.
Yeah, we don't say anything. If you ever want to scare your kids, you go in the bathroom, right? You turn off the lights. You say Matt Murphy's names 3 times, and then you flip him on, and he'll be screaming about limited government. I guarantee you, it's the craziest thing. All right, another story for the lightning round. You know the Chinese, you know that they do the Temu and they do the Shein?
Yeah.
All right. Well, this story's featuring Shein. Shein has had to apologize. There's been some backlash.
Oh.
Because they used Luigi Mangione's likeness to sell T-shirts. Yes, the Chinese fashion retailer Shein's website removed an image resembling accused healthcare killer Luigi Mangione, using it to promote a shirt following backlash. A product listing showed Mangione, who's accused of murdering United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, wearing a white short-sleeved button-down shirt priced at just $10. With deals like that, who needs to kill a healthcare CEO?
What?
That's just crazy. I love how they say, it sort of looked like him. I don't know, man. It was him. It was just him with a little bit of Photoshop. I'm going to put the picture up on the stream for you as soon as it loads. If you're watching this, Post Millennial has a story. Picture on the right is the mugshot of Mangione. Picture on the left is what was used to be featured in the Shein $10 T-shirt.
Yeah, I don't see a difference.
There's no difference.
There's not.
Corporate would like to know the difference between these two pictures. It's the same.
It's the same image.
Do you think I might get in trouble for this one? Do you think the Chinese said, Well, we're sorry. They all look the same.
Oh, no.
Do you think that might? No? Probably not. Probably not. According to the New York Post, the item was originally labeled men's new spring summer short sleeve blue ditzy floral white shirt on sale for $11.69 and nearly sold out before the listing was removed. Other products also appeared to show Mangione's likeness, which was likely created with AI, though it remains unclear how the images were created or how long they were live on the site. The image spread widely on social media as many individuals continued to express support for Mangione, despite the December killing. Others, however, condemned the ad. Retired FBI agent Jennifer Coffindaffer wrote on X, "A new low. Who would have ever thought that the image of a man who is on tape cowardly shooting someone in the back would be used to sell clothes?" Sheen responded with a statement saying the image in question was provided by a third-party vendor and was removed immediately upon discovery. We have stringent standards for all our listings on our platform. We're conducting a thorough investigation, strengthening our monitoring process, and will take appropriate action against the vendor in line with our policies, the company added.
You sure about that?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't buy it.
I don't buy it.
I think they were trying to sell shirts. I think they thought that hey, if this is a marketing strategy, brilliant.
Oh, absolutely.
So I don't think they're going to lose any market share over this.
I mean, they got us to talk about it.
We're talking about it. They got us.
Allegedly.
Thank you for that.
No, they got us.
Yeah, they got us. They got us. All right, do we have time for one more? We got time for one more. In the lightning round. Newsmax is suing Fox News. It's a battle that is waging. They filed an antitrust lawsuit against Fox News. What did they think about Fox News? Do you know what they think about Fox News?
Oh, I think so. I think
Because we're Fox News and we suck.
the conservative news outlet Newsmax has filed an antitrust lawsuit against Fox News, saying that Fox News has sought to maintain its market dominance through intimidation and exclusionary business practices designed to stifle competition. Fox has sought to block television distributors from carrying Newsmax or minimize its exposure, pressured guests not to appear on the rival network, and hired private detectives to investigate Newsmax executives, said the lawsuit. Filed in U.S. District Court in South Florida, Newsmax seeks a jury trial. Fox News responded in a statement, Newsmax cannot sue their way out of their own competitive failures in the marketplace to chase headlines simply because they can't attract viewers. This is a lawsuit that we'll be paying attention to, and as developments become available, we'll have them right here for you on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. That does it for the lightning round. We'll check in with Chad Benson next right here on Super Talk. So Trump announced today he's federalizing D.C. police to put an end to violent crime in Washington, D.C. Naturally, leftists are losing their mind and completely unhinged.
We believe there is a better way to protect us all. One that respects rights to build trust and keep our communities truly safe, and that is fascism-free.
Free of what?
That is fascism-free.
Fascism-free? Fascism-free. Oh, okay, hang on one second. Hey, Brooks, come here. F-A-S-C-I-S-M.
Fascism?
Correct, fascism. I didn't mean to turn this into an ad for homeschooling versus public schooling, yet here we are.
Maybe she should have proofread that.
but a lot of these protesters are paid. There's a story, Crowds on Demand CEO, 400% increase, surge for requests for paid protesters.
Yep. Protester requests have increased 400% since President Trump announced the federal takeover of D.C.'s police department.
No, none of this. I mean, we've seen this time and time again, where they've got all of these different protests and goes on. I swear it feels like it's every couple of weeks they've got another protest going on.
It is time to unite, not to fight each other the way they want us to do.
And they keep offering, looking for people to protest. And I don't think there's this groundswell of anger that they're trying to convince the American people that there is.
$11:56, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Chad Benson's in studio. What's up, Chad?
What's happening, brother?
I was telling Chad about Dr. Neil Hopper. Yeah. It's a dark story. And I've been going through the texts. We got a text here. He said, what was it? Was it 4460? Said, heard Dr. Hopper is transitioning to a woman, changing his name to Eileen. And then we got a text from Larry. We were talking yesterday, during me and Dan's cross, we call it the crisscross.
Crisscross?
During you and Matt's cross, they call it the welcome mat. And we didn't have a fun name. Larry came up with a name.
What is it?
He said we should call it the bend over.
There you go. I like it. It's time for the bend over.
It's time for the bend over. What's going on, man? What are you paying attention to today?
Well, now I can't get old Dr. Neil out of my head. That is insane.
How perfect is it that his name is Neil Hopper?
That is phenomenal.
It's poetry.
I was telling you, I saw HBO did a documentary about people who believe they're amputees and have believed their whole life. Even if they're fine, they're in wheelchairs or trying stuff, but they go and they pack themselves in dry ice, hoping that it takes, and a lot of them, it did. And they end up losing, they had their legs amputated, and they believe they were always that way. When they ask them, they're happy because they always believed they were.
It's really messed up.
It's bizarre.
Do we give people like that guns?
No. Well,
with that kind of a mental illness, if you're willing to eliminate one of your own body parts, should we trust you with a weapon that could eliminate someone else?
Do you believe other people should be amputees, or is it only you?
Yeah, honestly.
What if they amputate their arms?
What if you had like reverse body dysmorphia, right? Where it's like I see everybody like it's Shallow Hal almost. Like I see everybody else as different.
I thought you were gonna say you had to add stuff. I see myself as a third arm. 4 arms. I need 6 arms.
Have you seen Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man? That's me. That's me.
Yeah, the Shallow Hal. That was great. It's a great movie.
Oh, it's a wonderful movie.
That was so phenomenal.
Tearjerker right at the end.
Right. What's up, banana fingers or banana hands, whatever he called it when he was shook his hands. Oh, that's great. What'd you talk about today?
We talked about a lot of stuff. Monty Fritz was in here announcing that he's running for governor for Tennessee, which a lot of people were really excited about.
There was some, it was interesting. I thought it was a good interview.
Yeah.
And so, he got some interesting takes. There's no doubt about that. Do you think he's the alternative to?
I think he's authentic, and I think that in this day and age, people are really craving authenticity. Even if they disagree with some of his stances, I think that they can appreciate where he's coming from. I think he's going to bring some real competition to the race. I do. I think it's going to be more of an uphill battle for John Rose than it was before.
Yeah.
Can he take out the establishment, the money, the
name
backing,
recognition,
the name
all
recognition of
That's
Marsha
a
Blackburn?
thing, man.
That's going to be hard, man. That's going to be hard. But I could see him attracting some independents and more of the crunchy granola faction coming over to his side as opposed to Blackburn.
That's possible. There's no doubt that's a possibility. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. John, I look at John Rose and Martha. They're the same. You're the same. Just your name's Martha. Your name's John. That's it. That's the difference for the most part. It's like You tell me about a movie. It's a shark movie. It's about a shark that eats a whole bunch of people in upstate, New York and New Hampshire, wherever it is. Okay, what's your movie about? It's about a great white shark that does the same thing. It's the same thing, just a different name, or you're describing it different. It ends the same way.
Yeah, I mean, Monty's really pissed about the direction the state's going in, the country as well, but the state in particular. The overspending, the ballooning budget, the fact that we're not the conservative leader that we're sold as. We have a conservative supermajority, but we don't do many conservative supermajority things. And I think that's what he wants to fight against. And I think that
would be interesting to see.
People are receptive to that. Yeah. I think more so now than ever. If you missed the interview with Monty, it's available on YouTube. Definitely worth a listen. Chad's in next. What are you going to be talking about today?
Dr. Hopper.
Dr. Hopper. That's all you need. That's all you need. 12 o'clock, Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.